Here at Doug Kingsmore Stadium in Clemson, South Carolina, we cap off the season opening weekend for the Clemson Tigers 2021 baseball season. It's the Tigers and Bearcats of Cincinnati as Clemson goes for the sweep. Hi, everybody, and welcome aboard with Marty Clary, Pete Hannity with you. A Tigers team that has pitched well and hit well, and frankly, Marty, fielded pretty well over the first two games. A 5-0 win on a combined two-hitter Friday from Davis Sharp and Matt Clark. Saturday, a 5-2 victory for Clemson against Cincinnati out of the American Athletic Conference, a game in which the Tiger bats again were hitting at opportune times.
Yeah, so far, I've been amazed at this early in the season with as little preparations they've had anywhere. Not to say Clemson hasn't had some, but how clean the baseball has been. Good pitching, throwing strikes, fielding the ball cleanly. So it's been enjoyable, really enjoyable to watch this early season.
Today the Tigers will send a lefty to the hill, and for the second straight day, a pitcher for Clemson making his debut. Caden Grice out of Riverside High. He certainly looks the part of a big-time ball player based on his size. He is a big fella. Grice stands 6'5", and change. You know, that may not be doing him justice. Let's call him 6'6", 240. But he is a lefty who can bring it. Of course, you've seen him, if you've watched the first two games, swing the bat a little bit. Interesting to see what he does against this Cincinnati lineup.
Yeah, again, like I said, starting early, you're going to be ahead of the hitters. Really want to be pounding the strike zone. Try and get one or two pitches of feel so you progress those as the season goes.
He'll face Eric Santiago. First pitch swinging, and we're underway here on a Sunday afternoon. Temps hovering in the mid-40s for most of the morning into the noon hour here at Doug Kingsmore Stadium. But as you see, a beautiful sunshine day, and Grice ahead in the count, 0-2.
And he's throwing low 90s right now and just starting off the game, but you already can see a tail. He's got a nice little tail. It's going to be hard on right-handed hitters and lefties if he can keep it inside on them.
Santiago 2 for 7 in the series, 2 for 4 on Saturday. Right field, and Dylan Brewer over, and that's out number 1. Interesting scenario today for the Tigers lefty starter, and Monty Lee pointing this out as a standout player in the upstate of South Carolina at Riverside High. He, of course, would pitch during his time in the rotation, but when he pitched, he hit. Well, here on the college level, he's only going to focus on pitching when it's his turn to start. Probably the first time he's ever come to the ballpark, at least conceivably in his baseball life, and prepared only to pitch in a game and not do both.
Yeah, and you never know what might throw a young player off, a freshman in a new environment, but focusing just on pitching rather than doing it all.
It'll stay foul. Briar Hawkins, the first baseman today for the Clemson team. Tigers, a lot of different faces in the lineup. Of course, playing this opening weekend series without the leading hitter from a year ago, Kier Meredith. They hope he can return next weekend for the rivalry series against South Carolina, as he's nursing a leg injury. Joe Bellini, the shortstop, takes ball 2. Bellini, graduate student out of Winter Park, Florida, came to them from St. John's Community College. 1 for 8 in the series, and has struck out 3 times, and that'll be ruled a foul ball. And the strikeouts have been a big story for this Clemson staff. As we told you, it was a combined 2-hitter on Friday, as Sharp and Clark sent down 15 Cincinnati batters by way of the strikeout, and then the Tigers staff picked up 9 more Ks on Saturday.
And the walks are low. That's what's really exciting. When you have that kind of control in the strike zone, boy, what makes your defense that much better. Everybody's excited every pitch.
2-2 coming. And the first hit of the game. Bellini coming off a 2020 abbreviated season in which he hit .429, 1-out base runner. And here's the third place hitter in the lineup, Brian Nicholson, the first baseman.
And I'm assuming that C and Monty Lee have already talked to their pitchers, because he's doing this. He's doing the same thing. Yep. But what I was saying is I think these pitchers are following the same thing. He's thrown about 7 fastballs in a row and trying to get ahead of these hitters just with one pitch as long as they can and show that. He just mixed in a little slider.
Nicholson 1 for 4 in Friday's season opener with a strikeout, 0 for 3 yesterday. He's a guy that they really love the bat. You'll notice some lefties in their lineup, and we'll talk more about that as we continue this afternoon as count evens at 1-1. Probably a guy that they would see hitting in the 2-hole more than the 3-hole. Their hitting coach is a fellow named Kyle Sprague, and he was talking with the Cincinnati group of coaches last night, and he's determined through his analytics that your most important slots in the lineup are 2 and 3 in this order, the 2nd hole, the 3rd hole. And sometimes you might think, well, your best hitter should be in the 3-hole, but he thinks best hitter in the 2-hole, then the 3-hole, then the 5-hole, and then cleanup.
How about that?
And that's all based on analytics. As you see, just getting out of the way of that one was Nicholson.
Well, that's the future. Everything's gone to, what does the computer programs tell you works best and gets the most productivity.
Runner going 3-1. French's throw well ahead of the game, and Bellini, who was 0 for 2 on stolen bases last year, is taken out on that stolen base attempt.
I'm wondering if that was supposed to be a hit and run. The way he's looking in the dugout after not swinging and staring in.
So now 2 outs, bases empty. And a payoff pitch coming to the big first baseman for this Bearcats team out of Louisville, St. Xavier. They'll try it again. Nicholson, a .400 hitter a year ago. He was 2nd on their team and also 2nd in getting on base, .471 on base percentage. So that's probably one of the reasons why they feel like they may eventually move him up a slot in their lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Grice a strike away from his first career K as a Clemson Tiger. And there it is, a called strike 3, and that's how he rounds out his first inning on the mound in a Clemson uniform. There was a hit, but a runner caught stealing, and a strikeout for Caden Grice. Nothing doing for the Bearcats. Beautiful Sunday afternoon, a little bit chilly, but what more would you expect on February 21st? Clemson and Cincinnati, scoreless top half of the first inning for the Bearcats. We welcome you in with Marty Clary, Pete Yannity with you. Really kudos, Marty, to our crew on campus. They have to do various technical adjustments with the electricity, so they were late getting power in the booth and in our control room. Here in the booth, we learned during the top half of the first that there's an on-off switch on our monitors, but for the most part, we are here. We are excited. Great to have baseball back, and you've got to be impressed with the top half of the first performance for Caden Grice, especially because the second batter reached base. So there he was pitching out of the stretch.
Yeah, he's already handled a tough situation, right? Your first hitter gets on, you're nervous. How do I handle that? Looked like he handled it quite well and got his first K.
And again, it'll be interesting to see how the Tigers bats are able to respond in a 3rd straight game. Good start so far. And we're going to see Davis Sharp in the lineup today for the first time this season as the DH. And I know he's anxious to get going. Tigers will have Blake Wright, the promising looking freshman 3rd baseman, leading things off. And for a 3rd straight game this weekend, the Cincinnati Bearcats will send out a left-hander to the mound. How do you like that? In fact, their first 4, Marty, are lefty pitchers in their rotation. But Garrett Shanley, a guy who they tell us keeps his composure and could be a really interesting matchup today.
And obviously experience. He's a senior guy, so you want those guys to kind of lead the way for you, help these younger ones come along early in the season. You're better apt to probably be able to adapt to not having as much time outside. So obviously they're hoping that he can do a nice job for them today.
2 starts a year ago for the Bearcats. In fact, his second start was on March 11th, 2020. That was against Indiana. He took the loss, went 6 innings, but that was the very last game the Bearcats would play. And of course, most everything else shut down a day later in college athletics. Everything else did, as we see Blake Wright stand in. 1 for 8 in the series, had a double and an RBI in Saturday's win. First pitch swinging and a leadoff batter on base for the Tigers on a Sunday afternoon.
First pitch fastball, he wasted no time and drove it right into left field between short and third. Hard ground ball.
So out of the stretch right away for Shanley, who has a very good move to first and does a very nice job holding runners on. Native of Fort Wayne, Indiana, against Dylan Brewer, the Tigers' left-handed hitting right fielder.
Yeah, and it looks like they're even taking a one-way lead right now. They'll get out a little far on their front foot as they lead off base, but first move they usually step back towards the bag in anticipation they might try and pick him.
Brewer 0 for 2 in Saturday's game, but had a sacrifice fly RBI. Gets that in the count here, 2-0. So interestingly, and you, my friend, with all of your prowess as a college and major league pitcher, will appreciate the fact the fella standing on the hill, his fastball ranges from 83 miles an hour up to 95 miles an hour. I don't know if I've ever heard of a 12-mile-per-hour swing in a fastball as he gets the inside edge there.
Yeah, and he's probably using different finger pressures and different seams. Cross seam obviously gives you a little more tighter spin, a little more velocity usually, and the cutter type pitches off the middle of the seams.
A year ago, 10 strikeouts in 12 1/3 innings, and he falls behind Brewer 3-1. Comment from their folks before this game is that you've really got to attack the Clemson hitters. They just don't strike out. They're excellent at reading deliveries and knowing when to commit and when not to. Other way, let's see if it stays fair and just foul. And the count goes full.
Almost a real big hit down in the corner that probably would have scored right from first, but sliced just outside the line, as you can see, a few feet. Yeah, that change in velocity on your fastball is great if it's coming through the same arm speed and just changing your grip. If it's due to a showing of a slowing down of the arm, that's something that hitters can really pick up on.
Brewer, sophomore out of Latta over in Dillon County. And you see that good move as he chases right back to first. And my natural question, just from my level of knowledge, which obviously is a mere crumb to your full loaf of bread, if you will, in terms of pitching would be, I would suppose the 83-mile-an-hour fastball is kind of used as a changeup, a straight change.
I would think so. I would think it's one of those where you just want to locate movement.
Center field pretty well hit, giving chase. Murray looking up. It's gone. Dylan Brewer running into one. Second home run of the season for the Clemson team. And the Tigers break on top 2-0 here in the home first.
Well, that's amazing for me so far in this series is all the home runs given have been like the furthest part of the ballpark. 390 centers type locations in all the games. And Brewer got every bit of that one. And even the center fielder was giving on it, realizing that's over the over the wall by 20 feet.
Deepest part of the park on a day when the wind is blowing out more to right center field. Perhaps it helped it a little bit, but boy, what a good start for the Tigers and Dylan Brewer, and giving Caden Rice, a pitcher making his debut, the early cushion. That's something Monty Lee talked about, and now the first pitch delivered to Briar Hawkins, and he'll head on down to first.
So Clemson roughing up Shanley a little bit here as we start in the first. And he tried to throw a breaking ball and probably tried to get a little extra bite after that home run, but caught too much of the inside and caught a thigh.
Tiger team a year ago that hit 10 home runs in the 17 games played in 2020, so they've got 2 as they play the third game of this 2021 campaign. James Parker, shortstop, hitting in the cleanup hole. Brewer now with 3 batted in the opening weekend. That should get out of play down the right side, and 0-2 the count on Parker, redshirt sophomore out of TL Hanna and Anderson. As you saw, the right fielder Kamastek gave a chase. Shanley was drafted out of Northrop High in Fort Wayne, Indiana by the Cincinnati Reds, but it was outside of the top 20, so he elected to head to the Queen City in southwestern Ohio, but to the college team instead of going into the Reds organization somewhere.
Stick to your approach. Stick to your approach.
Yeah, and being left-handed and a live arm, you got a good chance, but good opportunity here to hone your skills a little bit, tighten up a few pitches, get a little better accuracy in the strike zone with all of them.
Hawkins, the runner at first, driven high and deep to left, fair or foul, and it's gone on the foul pole. A pair of 2-run homers in the home first.
Wow, that ball was smoked. I don't know if you could hear it when it hit the foul pole, but it was still going strong when it.
Take a look at the top right corner, and the contact really hit more of the foul netting than the foul pole itself. James Parker's first homer of the season.
Look at that. The ball is rising, coming. It's just a matter of whether it's fair and foul, and boy, it smacks it. That had another 50 feet on it, I'm sure.
Let's listen. You know, if you were looking down and the contact of the bat didn't make you look up and you're sitting out there left field stands,
yeah,
and if for some reason you're texting somebody, that certainly is gonna get your attention if you're sitting out there. Jonathan French, who hit the first home run of the season for the Clemson team in the ball game on Friday. Tigers freshman catcher who missed the abbreviated 2020 season with a leg injury, but getting his third start to open up the campaign behind the plate. Still nobody out. Skied on the right side. Second baseman calling for it and pulling it in. As pretty good job running a tough play down on the right side, and that's now out number 1 here in the inning.
Looks like another tough sky day. Not a lot of clouds to base distance and angles on, so outfielders and infielders really need to be aware of that.
French popping out to Jace Mercer. Out number 1, Davis Sharp. Probably woke up this morning feeling like it was Christmas Day in some respects, as he gets to hit for the first time this season. as the DH. Of course, a stellar performance on the mound Friday with 5 innings of 1 hit, no run ball, struck out 9, walked just 1. And whereas Monty Lee and his staff made the decision going back to last year, they no longer wanted Sharp hitting and pitching on the same day, as Murray will camp under that one in right center for out number 2. But normally he'd be the DH the day after he pitched. Well, Saturday didn't have him in the lineup, but that's because Sharp had repeatedly hit 92 miles an hour pitching on Friday, and that's the first time that they had seen him repeatedly hit that kind of velocity. So they determined maybe another recovery day was needed. He could have pinch hit if they needed him yesterday.
Yeah. You know, I do therapy as my real occupation. Not overly sure that that's necessary for hitting and running. It actually can push more blood flow and clean those lactic acid out of your body a little bit. But that's such a nice thing to see. I want to protect my players. I'm not going to, it's no reason at this point to do anything like that. So kudos to the coaching staff of Clemson.
Tigers left fielder Elijah Henderson. Shot corralled nicely at short. Bellini's throw, a strong one. And a good job getting a speedy runner. So, after he was touched for the long ball twice in the opening inning, Shanley eventually settled things down. But the Tigers with some pop. A couple of 2-run homers, a 4-0 lead after 1. Top of the second, umpires rotate for the third game of the series. Doug Vines, Randy Watkins, Danny Everett, and Craig Barron, a veteran crew, here at Doug Kingsmore Stadium. And the Cincinnati Bearcats saw the Tigers go deep not once, but twice in the home first, with a man on each time. Griffin Merritt and crew now trying to go to work. Of course, they were shut out in Friday's game, and then Saturday manage a couple of runs. Merritt, the junior left fielder, one of the many players they have from the Cincinnati area, which continues to be a great place where young baseball players are developed on the youth level. Then, of course, the high school level. They've got a Catholic league in town and also the public school league, and they've produced their fair share of major leaguers and major league stars over the years.
Absolutely. Great place for baseball. And this is time, Bryce, you know, you got 4 runs. Sometimes you just kind of find yourself just going relaxed. This is the time you really got to bear down and really concentrate harder than ever to make this the quickest, fastest inning to get out of there and keep the hitting momentum going for your team.
Ball 4, so a second base runner in the early going for the Bearcats. First walk of his career following the first strikeout for Caden Grice in the top half of the first. So coaches and umpires can communicate. Let's listen in.
Good pitch. Doug, is that out? Doug, is that out?
Communicate in a civil way. So in that case, the head coach of the Bearcats, Scott Guggens, I believe that was him, might have been their pitching coach, J.D. Heilman, simply politely asking the home plate umpire for the full assessment, and for what it's worth, our technology trackman backing up the fact that it was off the outer edge and it was indeed a ball on that particular pitch to Dylan Brewer.
Yeah, and with the crowd sizes being limited, you can hear that a little bit better. It's kind of nice for fans sometimes to hear that interaction and be able to see what happens in a game.
Jace Mercer, good-looking second baseman, who made a above-average defensive play on that pop fly in the home first, and backed out of what turned out to be a called strike. Count evens at 1-1. He probably looked at this opening road trip and welcomed it, as he's just outside of Atlanta. In fact, from the same hometown as the Tigers' Bo Mikowski, and they attended Johns Creek High School. First 2 batters reaching base, second hit of the game for the Bearcats, as Mercer able to come through his first hit in the series.
And so getting behind and having to come in, I'm sure the hitters have already been told, okay, we're dealing with freshmen out there, so, you know, if he's not produced his breaking ball for strikes, his changeup for a strike, so they're sitting right now. And so real important that he starts finding the feel for his breaking ball so he can keep these hitters off balance just a little bit more.
Jake Murray hoping to have the same kind of success this season across the Ohio River as he had a year ago when he was at Northern Kentucky and led them with a .310 batting average, albeit in less than 24 games. But a lefty hitting center fielder they really think is going to be a big part of their lineup. Had a couple of home runs and 7 batted in a season ago. So far this weekend, he's 2 for 7.
Let it eat. Let it eat. Come on, kid.
Caden Grice, 6'6", 240. It's like having a tight end on the pitching mound.
Exactly. He's a big fella.
Looking to move up the runners. And the count evens 1-1. Cincinnati with its share of lefties in their lineup, and that's one of the reasons why Murray was appealing to them to come in by way of transfer. Their home ballpark favors lefty power. It's more of a pitcher's park, but the ball does tend to fly out to right field, so they try to set up their lineup. And conversely, that's one of the reasons why their front 4 in their starting rotation are lefty pitchers, because you figure that's a good counter for the opponent's lefty power hitters in their home park.
The little nuances of your home park that you can take and make your advantage is something I think most coaches do everything they can to try and make that happen.
Tigers did what Monty Lee wanted them. He wanted his team to do for their young pitcher Caden Grice, and that was build an early lead. But Bearcats about to get on the board on the RBI single. It'll be 1st and 3rd and nobody out. And a run in for Cincinnati on the RBI single. The first RBI in a Bearcats uniform for Jake Murray.
And just going to step out and talk to him a little bit. They're going to just kind of calm him down. Get him settled. Came back with a little breaking ball. Pushed it right up the middle. Wasn't hard hit, but just perfect location, which is the neutralizer in baseball games. It doesn't have to be hit hard all the time.
Might be hard for you to directly recall, but the first time you pitched for your new team, regardless of level, did you sense that your head coach or manager and your pitching coach may have just been a little bit more focused on watching your body language than that? Because I asked Monty Lee before the game today if he'll just yesterday was perhaps also the case with Ty Olenchek going out there for the first time, and Olenchek did some nice work, but first time out, you wonder if Monty Lee and for that matter his pitching coach Andrew C. are just a little more focused on how Grice is reacting.
I think so. I think it just makes sense. You're in a new environment, new level of competition. A lot of these players have played against great competition, but a lot of times within their own little league stuff, kind of the big fish. And, you know, here, if you're not really sharp, you can find yourself in a battle pretty quick. And so they just want to keep them calm, just let them try and recuperate and find a fresh start right here.
So Andrew C.'s visit concluded. Tanner Holen, caught yesterday, DH today, takes ball 1.
And you definitely don't want to punish your young guys out there. You want to watch that a little bit and maybe err on the side, you know, I'm going to get you out if we have to. I don't want you to have everything bruised on your ego all the way through.
Hawkins, he'll go to second and get the lead runner, catcher running, and they end up turning the double play. Run scores, but that'll clean things up in a hurry. Score at 3-6-3, and quickly 2 outs in a 4-2 game.
Little squibbler over there, good turn, perfect throw. Got back quick enough to handle it himself.
No RBI on the play, but Mercer did come home from third to cut into that Tiger lead. It's a 4-2 game, and that's got to make the young pitcher feel good and also make the pitching coach feel good, who just went out and visited him.
And you see that happen quite a bit. Good things happen after just a little break. Catch your breath. Stop just going on emotion. Think a little bit, get back in track, and get your release point right.
Joe Powell caught Friday's series opener. Sophomore from just outside of Cincinnati was 0 for 2 with a walk and a strikeout. And Grice ahead in the count here, 0-2.
And that's where he needs to be. He is not overpowering with his fastball. However, if he locates that properly on the outer third, down and away, it sinks quite a bit. So that's where he needs to stay. If he comes up, it flattens out, becomes much more hittable.
Swing and a miss, and just as he did in the top half of the first, Grice closing out the Bearcats with a strikeout here in the second. Cincinnati answers the 4 spot by the Tigers in their half of the first inning with 2 in the top of the second. Caden Grice, 2 in the books, has a 4-2 lead. 4-2 game. Tigers turn their 5th double play of the weekend to clean up the top half of the second. Monty Lee now joining us, and Andrew C's visit to the mound, obviously settling down, a very talented pitcher, but what's the early assessment in a couple of innings of work for Caden Grice? And Monty Lee, you see the Tigers head coach. For some reason, I thought we were going to visit with him. And then when you look up and you see a coach with a mask and no headphone,
right,
you realize that he's not listening to us, nor is he able to talk to us. But Monty Lee, starting his 6th season with 2 wins and hoping to make it a weekend sweep. The Tigers head coach is facing Cincinnati for the first time in his career this weekend, as the Tigers and Bearcats today play for a 7th time all-time. And Pierce Gallo to lead off the home second. And Shanley falling behind in the count.
1 pitch, 1 spot. 1 pitch, 1 spot. Lead off,
that was part of the reason he ended up giving up 4 runs in the Tigers' first inning, as Monty Lee is hoping to continue to see effective work out of his lineup. And he's excited about the fact that it's only 2 games, but based on what he saw in the preseason, he really thinks 1 through 9 they can be a pretty consistent group, and that hasn't necessarily always been the case during his tenure.
Yeah, from what I've seen so far, they got really short swings, good eyes, don't swing at a lot of bad balls, so no reason why they can't be putting it in play on a regular basis.
Shanley wanted the call, so did his catcher Powell, but the count goes 3-1. Tigers coach coming into today with 460 wins overall, and he's going for his 185th at the helm of Clemson. And sometimes things in baseball even out. I once heard a very wise head coach say that, and perhaps that was the case on the 3-1 pitch. Gallo appears to have grabbed that starting job out of Marietta, Georgia, Walton, where he was his county's player of the year as a senior in high school.
Yeah, both pitchers showing a little bit of jittering, not really getting ahead of hitters like you would have, what we've seen in the other couple days games, but trying to settle in and trying to find that. If they can just hang around, it usually comes.
And a called strike 3. First strikeout for Shanley.
Just tremendous location right there. That's just one of those where you got to tip your hat as a hitter, because he threw it completely on the black, 90+ miles an hour. So just tip your hat, get him next time as a hitter.
Bryce Teodosio, junior, off to a nice start, and this is 4th season in the program. 3 for 4 in Friday's opening win, 1 for 3 Saturday with a run batted in.
Almost all the pitchers this weekend have struggled with their breaking ball, and that's typically because it's such low humidity. It's really hard to get a grip on the baseball with that spin.
Teodosio, a righty batter, but he can understand the mechanics of Shanley, the pitcher for Cincy, because Teodosio, that very unique, bats right, throws left. Inside edge, and Shanley, for one of the few times here through the Tigers lineup, is ahead in the count.
Yeah, and really, if he could lock that in, he would see his difficulty of getting hitters out go way down, because that is a tough pitch to hit, bearing it inside on a hitter.
That was more toward the 95-mile-per-hour end of his fastball range, as was that. 2 strikeouts to start the home second.
When you hit it that well and hard inside, the ball looks so big when it comes back over the plate, and it was actually out of the zone, but it just looked so good. You tend to not be able to hold up, and very rarely can you catch up to it.
Tigers as a team struck out just twice in Saturday's game, but back up at the top of the order, Blake Wright with the first 2 outs in this inning recorded via the strikeout. Wright singled, then came home on the Dylan Brewer 2-run homer in the first inning, and he takes strike 1. You have to wonder in the case of Shanley, and for a Cincinnati team, which, by the way, missed their first week of practice in late January, early February because they were in a COVID shutdown, if that was just a kind of deal where first inning, maybe even though he's a veteran in their rotation, some jitters, some not feeling right, a mound he'd never pitched on before, and some of that may have contributed to his issues. At the same time, give the Tigers bats credit as they've continued into Sunday, what's been a good weekend of work so far.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think there's a lot that goes on that's different when you're playing one of the top teams in the nation on their home field than one of your conference teams. And you see it all the time, an elevated or a total collapse based on what happens when you first get out there. It can get away from you, or you can have the time of your life, it seems like.
3-1 the count on Blake Wright.
Keep working, G.
From just outside of St. Petersburg, Florida. So he probably, you would suppose, has been enjoying the year the Tampa Bay pro teams have been having, and the fact that Tampa Bay is also an NBA city this year with the Toronto Raptors playing down there. Right side. Mercer, the second baseman, calls off his first baseman and is unable to hang on. Second time that Mercer's tried to pull in a pop fly with the wind pushing it away, and from an awkward angle. He was unsuccessful that time.
Yeah, usually your best hope is that outfielder can come running in on that and get there in time, but he was too far away to get there, so really tough play.
Count now full on the Tigers' leadoff hitter, Blake Wright. Monty Lee going against Scott Guggens today. Guggens has a really interesting coaching past, and we'll talk more about that in just a bit. Payoff pitch. Strikes out the side. You see the emphatic reaction from the Cincinnati left-hander Garrett Shanley. Inning number 2 for him, significantly different than inning number 1. Strikes out the side. Through 2 here at Doug Kingsmore. Tigers up 4-2. Scott Guggens in his 4th season guiding the Bearcats of Cincinnati. They brought him in to try to get their program back to a high level in the American Athletic Conference, a very good baseball conference. And, well, he has done that so far. His team, even though picked 6th in that very good 8-team league, should be a tough out in the American. But in 2019, when they won the championship of their conference, they made their first NCAA tourney in 45 years. To give you some perspective, the last time the University of Cincinnati team had made the NCAAs was when the Big Red Machine of Bench and Morgan and so on down the line was having its heyday. Pete Rose was still chasing Ty Cobb and was 10 years away from getting to that.
It's amazing.
Ninth place hitter in the lineup, Paul Komistek, the right fielder. Back in the Southeast for him as he transferred in from Tennessee a couple of seasons ago. And Caden Grice sees the count even at 2-2. Komistek 1 for 6 in the series, but he did go deep in Saturday's game, the Tigers' 5-2 victory. Lays off and the count goes full.
That one was close, and he wanted it as a young freshman out there. Trying to get back-to-back. And you see it is at least 2 inches in.
Stays low and leadoff walk. That came back to haunt in the second inning when Griffin Merritt eventually came around to score, and Comastek will head down to first. Top of the order, Eric Santiago popped out to right field to start the game. Stands in. Takes strike one. Comastek over at first in limited games a year ago was 2 for 3 on stolen bases. Santiago from just north of Philadelphia in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And falls behind 0-2. Interesting story on this guy. He has played every position in a game except pitcher for the Cincinnati team. And they promise him at some point, he's a grad student, although he can come back. I think he has one more year of eligibility. This might be it for him, but anyway, they do say that at some point they're going to let him pitch.
Yeah.
So he can do the Bert Campaneris, Jerry Terrell, and whoever else has done it in the major leagues. He can say he did that as well.
Well, no matter where you're at, you usually get at least one game in a season where it's so out of hand. There's no reason why you can't put him in there.
Count goes full. Santiago 2 for 8 in the series. You would suppose 43 pitches in now. They've probably got Grice somewhere in the 80s on a pitch count today, if that. And a couple of walks to start the top half of the third.
Yeah, and he's definitely not super comfortable out there. He's trying to find his fastball, trying to find his breaking ball. Got himself in a slight hole right here and needs a big pitch.
Andrew C. will again make a visit to the mound, the Tigers pitching coach, as there's some activity in the Clemson bullpen. Tigers have had Rashesh Pandya warming, and that's going to be it for Caden Grice. So his first outing as a Clemson Tiger is a short one. He will exit here with 2 men on after a couple of walks in the third. Tell you about the Tigers reliever when we come back in a 4-2 game. Rashesh Pandya, who was a high school teammate of Bryce Teodosio at Malden, on for a second straight game. Tiger Jr., who saw an inning of action, didn't allow a run or a hit, and had a strikeout in Saturday's game as part of a good effort by the bullpen. So here he is, 2 men on, no one out in the Cincinnati half of the third inning.
And he really came and did a great job. He came in and threw a breaking ball for a strike right off the bat. Showed those hitters they're not going to be able to just sit on fastballs, and really work through them pretty easily. So did a really nice job, and I know that's what they're looking for that now.
Pandya began his career at Wofford, but certainly welcomed the opportunity to come on down I-85. Got a tough assignment. The lefty hitting first baseman Ryan Nicholson out of Louisville, who was caught looking as the first career strikeout of Caden Grice in the first inning. Tigers with a couple of 2-run homers in the home first, able to jump on top quickly against the senior lefty Garrett Shanley of Cincinnati. But the Bearcats responded with 2 in the top half of the second, and now hoping to get a little bit closer, or maybe even take their first lead of the series here in the top half of the third. And I misspoke, it's Bellini, also a tough hitter, but the righty batting shortstop who led them in hitting a year ago with a .429 batting average. So good hitter at the plate as they go righty on righty.
And Pandya showed again, came out fearless, throws a breaking ball, first pitch with runners on, and throws a first strike.
Off speed, stays low, 1-1 the count.
And he'd love to just get a little ground ball here, maybe get 2.
Bellini sprays the ball, as we saw with that hit that he had in the opening inning when he went the other way and then was caught stealing. Want to be efficient if you're the Tiger pitchers, obviously. 26 strikeouts through the first 2 games, and maybe more importantly, just 2 walks. So very impressive plus minus on the pitching side, and the count evens at 2-2. Whereas so far today, 3 walks yielded by the starter Grice. Two Chopper, got to be tough. Parker, runners move up. 5-3 on the fielder's choice, second and third, 1 away in the Cincinnati top half of inning number 3.
Made the right pitch, got the little ground ball, but too slow. No way to get 2 on that. A great play by a third baseman to come up and make a good, strong throw to first. But runners do move up in the process.
So here's Nicholson, who was caught looking his first time up. First baseman out of Louisville had a hit in Friday's game. His only hit in the series to this point. .400 hitter a year ago, and one of the better bats in their lineup, and thus he's hitting in the 3-hole. Got to be a tough assignment for Pandya coming in out of the bullpen to face the leading hitter last year and the second leading hitter a year ago for this Bearcats team.
But he's shown a lot of poise and a lot of confidence. I mean, he's mixing it up. That time he started with a fastball with the hitter before he was a breaking ball. So you can't really just kind of go up there and say, I'm looking just for this, because he's mixed it up already.
Nicholson 6'3", 215. Kind of a half-hearted effort that time. He falls behind in the count, 1-2.
Yeah, he was looking dead red, and he mixed it up again. So more important to get a hitter off balance than to just throw hard or the same pitch over and over. Even if it's a really good pitch, hitters will eventually figure it out if that's all they see. So good job by Pandya so far to mix it up on the hitters, keep them off stride.
1-2, swing and a miss. Boy, big strikeout for Rases Pandya. 2 away here.
Set him up with the changeup right here. He's thinking fastball, but no. And it's such a good location that he can't hold up and he can't even foul it off. So just an outstanding job so far coming in both games, yesterday's game and to start coming in back in today.
Nicholson is struck out each time up, caught looking and then swinging that time. Griffin Merritt, one of those who got on by way of a walk in the second, later came around to score. Right field, Brewer. And what a great job out of the bullpen for a second straight day by Rases Pandya. Cleans up, came on with first and second, nobody out. We head to the bottom of the third in a 4-2 game. Nice day to have the family out at Doug Kingsmore Stadium. 4-2 Tigers on top as we head to the bottom of the third with Marty Clary. Pete Hannity with you. And Rases Pandya working out of a jam, coming on a relief of Caden Grice in the top half of the third inning. I think that guy is adamant about the fact that being in the sun has made this a much warmer day than it would seem with temperatures. It looks like he was fanning himself.
Oh yeah, it's super hot out there.
Yeah,
super hot.
So back to work goes Garrett Shanley, the senior out of Fort Wayne, Indiana, and it looked like his day might not be one of great length when he was touched up for a couple of 2-run homers in the first inning. one of them by Dylan Brewer, the Tigers right fielder, who will lead things off in the third.
Yeah, he was like totally different than that last inning. And so this is why I'm saying, you know, I may see Cincinnati doing better than what they're predicting, just because lefties in their pitching rotation, good live arms, but they've got to throw strikes, and when they do, they look pretty effective.
Close the book on Grice. He ends up going 2 innings plus in his Tigers debut on the mound. Struck out 2. Ended up with a trio of walks. 3 hits and 2 runs, both earned, so he will learn from that. 2-0 the count on Brewer, who trying to hold that right field job. Had a hit on Friday to go along with the bomb he hit in the first inning today. And that home run was not a cheapie that he drilled to left center field, deepest part of the ballpark in the first inning, with Blake Wright on base.
Hey, one pitch, one spot.
Tell you, Shane Lee will be the first one to say that he's got to quit falling behind batters. He's had several 2-0 and 3-1 counts here in 2+ innings of work.
And that's when he struggled. When he does get ahead, boy, it's lights out sometimes.
Good job.
And Brewer turning to the home plate umpire initially, Doug Vines, and saying, sorry about that. I didn't mean to show anybody up here, but low pitch, but the call is a strike.
And sometimes you don't hear anything right away, and so you're assuming that ball's not a strike, and so
looked like it was a good call, though, based on the benefit of replay from our perspective. And again, we're up behind home plate, and we're blocked by the catcher and the umpire. Looked like it might have been a little bit low, but video proves it was the correct call. And we have, of course, the TrackMan technology, which can probably do many more things scientifically than baseball. But in this case, we use it for the baseball purposes, and it backed up the call. And Brewer hanging tough, and that caught probably the helmet of the catcher, Powell, but it looks like everyone's okay.
yeah, I still believe that was the downfall for the Braves, not having multiple World Series, because they were 2 inches off the plate, guys. And they got it because they did it when they wanted to, every time they wanted to. But I don't think any umpire wants to see that 2 inches off the plate on the screen in live TV.
4th consecutive strikeout for Shane Lee. He has been a different man since that rough first inning.
He's got a super live arm. That ball is moving. It's never in one location. So he's been effectively wild since the first.
Briar Hawkins was hit by the first pitch he saw from Shane Lee in the bottom of the first, and then came around as James Parker followed with a 2-run homer. Hawkins here in the early going. 0 for 2 on Friday, 1 for 4 on Saturday, but Monty Lee says the encouraging thing is that he really has struck the ball well. So you look for contact first. Sometimes it just ends up in someone's glove, and they feel like if he continues that, enough of them will fall in. .91 on that fastball.
Yeah, you see enough games, you know if a guy's hitting 300, whether it's soft or good, and if a guy's hitting 200, whether it's soft or accurate.
Try to get him to chase. We noted earlier, Shane Lee a year ago, he made 4 appearances, 2 starts, and his final appearance was a 6-inning start against Indiana. But in 12 1/3 innings last season, he ended up with 10 strikeouts and walked 10. So it's not necessarily that he came into this year thinking he was a strikeout pitcher, although in those 2 relief outings, of course, the numbers are a little bit skewed in terms of innings pitched.
But man, that's super tough on a hitter. You throw one like that, it's almost, you know, at the Durham Bull mascot, and then the next one's on the black. How do you prepare for that? How do you get ready for that?
That's what you call effectively wild.
Real
right?
effective.
Yeah.
Real effective.
2-2 coming. 5 in a row have gone down by way of the strikeout.
And again, this time he's right in the plate. That ball's rising, looking big, but really tough to catch up to when you're 90+ miles an hour.
Wonder if he might be one of those guys you got to get to early. And from the Tigers' standpoint, they're starting to value that 4 spot in the first even more. Parker, with that home run in the first, extended his hitting streak to 10 games going back to last season. J.D. Heilman, their pitching coach, and Scott Guggens, their head coach. They've got a lot of faith in him. In fact, their folks were telling us just a conversation with him yesterday kind of gave you the impression that he was dialed in and feeling good. And you know, again, a couple of bad pitches and you're looking at a 4-0 deficit, but that's having faith in your staff. They think that they've really got a good chance to have a really nice rotation. Bullpen might be a different story at this point for them, but that's having faith in a veteran.
Yeah, and they're probably, with that, going to try, as the season goes on, their arm strength comes in, extend their innings, obviously. So they need them to throw strikes, and they don't want to. As bad as it was in the first inning, you got to give more pitches. You got to get more time because we're looking down the road, not just in this game.
In their conference, they will play 4-game series instead of the usual 3 that you play in conference play. So it will help having a veteran staff that you can maybe feel good about. If they're rough early on, they can work through it, and that way, a 4-game series, boy, your bullpen by game 3 or 4, if you're not careful, you can really be in a bad place.
So is that weekend doubleheaders?
Straight through in many cases. In many cases, I'll double check their schedule. I'm pretty sure it's a Thursday through Sunday kind of thing. And the count stays 2-2. In some cases, and again, they travel all over the place. Scott Guggens will take his team down to Houston. They've got 2 schools in Florida, one in Tampa, one in Orlando in their league. I think UCF comes to them this year, but they're going to East Carolina. They also have East Carolina coming to them, and East Carolina is favored to win the American. Of course, the late Keith LeClaire, who was a Jack Leggett assistant, did a great job building that, and now East Carolina's become a team that often gets to the super regional round. Gives you an idea of the quality of their league at the top.
Watch that ball, JB.
Yeah, when I was coming through Big Ten, they played 2 double-header weekends,
Yep.
Saturday, Sundays, and it was tough on pitching.
Nice job at third. On to first with the throw by Santiago, and indeed, Shanley has settled down. After the Tigers got 4 runs off of him early, he's retired 9 straight. End of 3. Well, Cincinnati Bearcats, one of the trips they'll make south this year. They'll go not too far south from Cincinnati, head on over into the southwestern part of Kentucky. Next weekend, they'll be back in Wilmington, North Carolina. They'll eventually visit Greenville, North Carolina as well. Scott Guggens will see his former school that he was the head coach at, Xavier. Yeah, that Xavier that's about 1.5 miles from the Cincinnati campus. Fierce rivals, so there he is doing a nice job at Xavier. Took them to several NCAA tournaments. In fact, in 2014, he knocked off a Tiger squad in the NCAA tournament when he was at Xavier. First pitch swinging, and Mercer a quick out for Pandya here in the top half of the 4th inning. And so a dozen years coaching Xavier, and all of a sudden Cincinnati calls. And the obvious question is, was it kind of weird hearing from not only the arch rival, but again, in your same city and that kind of thing? And he said indeed it was, but he listened to what the Bearcats had to say. They wanted upgrade their baseball program, and so he went right across town. Now, the really interesting thing is his wife is an education professor. She had been teaching up the road about a half an hour outside of Cincinnati at Miami of Ohio. She has since taken a job at Cincinnati, at Xavier. So he was on the Xavier payroll, and now, you know, they're getting W-2s from Xavier still, but it's because she's on the Xavier payroll, and so they do have each side of the rivalry represented pretty well.
Yeah, good for Xavier, not holding anything back against the coach that leaves them, but gives the job to the spouse.
Left center field. Murray flies out to Henderson for out number 2, and quickly 2 up and 2 down in the Cincinnati 4th.
Well, I like everything about Pandya. I like everything about him. Good composure, hits a strike zone, but with multiple pitches, not afraid to throw it in the strike zone. I would think Monty Lee's smiling a little bit with what he hopes to see down the road.
Bearcats got 2 in their half of the second, but when Tanner Holen, their DH, came to the plate, they had him first and second, nobody out. He did get a run home, but grounded into double play, and that really proved to be big to this point in the game, because that could have been a much more significant inning for the Bearcats, as he was fooled that time on the Pandya pitch. Holen from the Little Apple, Manhattan, Kansas, and he falls behind on the count here, 1-2.
Throws one in the dirt, comes right back with another breaking ball, and he is way out in front.
In his inning of work yesterday, Pandya had a strikeout. Count evens at 2-2. When he came on in the 3rd inning with first and second and nobody out, he was able to retire the 3 batters he faced, but now he falls behind in the count, 3-2. Chopper right, waits for the bounce. Strong throw. 3 up, 3 down. Cincinnati 4th, 4-2 here at Doug Kingsmore. Through the first 3 innings, it's been a tale of 2 cities for Garrett Shanley. First, the bad. Dylan Brewer and James Parker took him deep.
Yeah, that's what happens when you get behind in the count. Hitters have the advantage.
Then he settles down. After the Parker home run, he has retired 9 straight, at one point 5 consecutive whiffed.
If you're a scout and you left in the first inning, you might have missed something. That's what can happen in baseball. You just got to stay at it. And I know coach is feeling good about leaving him in there at this point.
5 of the past 6 now having gone down on strikes. And Shanley out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. You can see what the Reds saw in him coming out of high school as to why they drafted him. Really not all that high, but boy, a lefty who has not only good velocity, but the range of velocity that we talked about. And Jonathan French and the Tigers having to adjust to a fastball that at times is in the mid-80s, at other times gets up to the mid-90s.
Yeah, but he has to hone in his control, right? I mean, you get to the next level, it will be devastating. You will not survive in that without really honing that control factor in. But a live arm, I'd take it. I'd take a chance.
And you see an example of how tough he can be, especially when he works low and away. He's had a lot of chases today.
Yeah, this ball really moves down in the zone. If it's fastball off the corner, it just slides and moving all the time. When it's cutting in low, it's got a sharp bite to it. Real difficult to hit.
Low that time. they've got him on a pitch count today. They probably are going to keep him in the 80s. In that second start last year, and we're talking March 11th, and he had some bullpen work too. They let him throw 93 against Indiana, and that was in his junior year. So here they'll try to keep him in the 80s, and you see he's thrown nearly 60 so far. But if he can do quick work here in the 4th, he could probably get through the 5th and be in line for the win, depending on how they score it today. Sky high and deep to left. Watch it sail way out of here. Second home run on the weekend for the young Tigers catcher, Jonathan French.
Again, behind 2-1 is a lot different than ahead 1-2. And those hitters can really look one pitch, because if you don't throw it, they just take it. They're still in have a chance to hit again at the next pitch. But you get behind and then you throw it right where they're looking, bad things happen. And that one was bad for about 360 feet.
5'10" and 220. He's built like a linebacker, and you see the pop he can deliver. Man, I think that hit off the facade of the roof over the left field stands, and you saw it comes back down.
Yeah, and it didn't take him but just one step to know that was gone, and he started looking. And that's when you know you've hit it well.
Tigers scoring today has come off of the long ball. A couple of 2-run blasts in the first inning, and that shot to lead things off in the 4th by French, who, man, Davis Sharp, who was the Tigers' top power threat a year ago and is one of those in the ACC, showing up on the D1Baseball.com first team All-America list. He may get his eyes big as to what he's able to do. He flied out to right back in the first inning. Sharp, his first game here in the early going, hitting after the nice effort on the mound on Friday.
Such a plus for a team when you can have your pitchers give you also the added benefit of a pinch hit or in the lineup DHing. Because in a long season, you're going to get injuries. You're going to have people tired. Your games are going to go extra innings. Boy, what a benefit.
Sharp, one of the many great players the Tigers have gotten over the years out of the Atlanta area. Two and two. No, it actually caught him. So the second time a batter has been hit in the game, and each time it's followed a Clemson home run, but in both cases off speed. And now we spoke too soon, because Sharp is all the way down to first. And our home plate umpire, Doug Vines, will call him back, and I have a feeling Monty Lee will try to get some clarification. And Monty would like clarification by way of the video. So apparently the pitch hit him in the foot. Doug Vines, the home plate umpire, in his judgment didn't feel like Sharp did enough to get out of the way. So we will.
Yeah, I don't know. You don't expect to hit your toe. He bent his knees back or stiffened them back. So let's take a better look. Maybe I saw it wrong. So yeah, I don't know that he didn't dive into it. I don't know that you have to move out of its way. It's just,
and it's not as if the foot moved to the direction of the baseball.
Right.
The umpires will go to the video room.
There's no way he could have actually in that picked it up. He's fallen back on his foot at that point.
If you draw an imaginary line, his back foot never moves toward home plate. At anything, it moves just a little bit parallel, or not at all, or back.
Yeah, he's
parallel,
backing
but
out
back
of the
away
way
from the plate.
Yeah,
so.
He's backing out of it. So I'd be surprised if they would say it's definitely hits his toe.
Now, he did not make any effort to move away from the path of the ball. That's true, but unless you really make it obvious you're trying to get hit by the pitch, usually you'll get the benefit of the doubt as the batter.
Yeah, I'm a pitcher, and my understanding is.
And indeed, the Tigers will, we are told, get the benefit of the doubt.
And I'm a pitcher, and I love to have things go my way, obviously, but I don't know that it's has to be the act of the batter getting out of the way, just not going into it, I think is what it should be, I think. And so
Tigers through their first 2 games plus this weekend now with 4 batters hit by pitches. So after the leadoff home run by French, this game's starting to trend like the first inning did against Shanley. A base runner with Elijah Henderson coming to the plate. He grounded out to short his first time up. I was noting that Sharp out of the Atlanta area, one of the many great players Tigers have gotten, and from that area overall in baseball. And we noted Cincinnati produces some players, and the throw gets away on the toss over to first. Sharp will stop at second. So that time a pitcher with a really good move with a bad throw. First error in the game on either side.
Trying to do the quick step off, and it gets across the body of the runner diving back into the bag. And there's just no chance for the first baseman to get to it.
The Cincinnati area producing the talent that it has, so the University of Cincinnati are right there, and you get your fair share, but others will come in, and we showed you that All-American list, and a guy who's not probably too far off of that is Luke Waddle, the shortstop at Georgia Tech, who headed down to Atlanta from Cincy. He played at a high school right outside of Cincinnati. I've always thought that if you are a major college program, especially in a major league market, that there's some way you've got to be able to utilize that connection to help your program. A Boston College, a University of Pittsburgh, and on down the line of St. John's, right there in New York City, just a few blocks away from Citi Field. And boy, that just scores foul. And I'm sure that there are, and obviously there's probably some gray areas you got to be careful if you're a major league team from a tampering standpoint, and also the whole NCAA rules from a college standpoint. But I would think it's got to benefit in some small way Cincinnati being able to recruit some kids with a major league team right there in town.
I think the more consistent winning you get, the easier that becomes, obviously. So you got to put together, hey, we're going to be in the hunt to be in the NCAA, tournament type situation on a regular basis. So otherwise, why wouldn't you go to the, another team? But if you could be right there at home, boy, nothing better if you're winning.
Henderson looking for his first hit of the weekend. Instead, he'll move the runner up. Sacrifice 1-3, and even that throw was a little bit interesting.
Yep.
Over to third now with one away goes Davis Sharp, and Elijah Henderson doing his job.
Working to try and get that extra run. Also just working on things that you may need later in the season. Got to get bunts down, got to get guys over. So working on a lot of different things in these early games.
And at the point I was making, Georgia Tech, as the infield comes in for Cincinnati, they have taken advantage of that with their series against Georgia, including a game in the Braves' home ballpark each year. Just those kinds of things, I think, it's got to help Georgia Tech in some small way. I don't know how you quantify it, but being able to take advantage of a relationship with the Braves. Pierce Gallo caught looking the first of 5 consecutive strikeouts by Shanley. That was back in the second inning, when Shanley struck out the side. Tigers second baseman picking up a hit each in the first 2 games. Another of those players from the Atlanta area and from Cobb County at that.
Good job.
Off speed, 2-1 the count.
That was a pretty good pitch, but again, not hitting with a strike, falls behind 2-1. Big disadvantage for you with a guy on third base.
Pitch number 70 for Shanley. And some activity beginning in the Cincinnati bullpen through the drawn-in infield. The RBI single for Gallo, and the Tigers take a 6-2 lead.
behind 2-1. He had to bring it in. Had to bring it in over the plate. Hitter's looking for just fastball the middle, and that's what he got. And hit a bullet up the middle.
2 runs in the inning. French hit that absolute bomb off the front of the roof in left field to start things out. Bryce Teodosio, man on first, 1 away, hoping to keep this thing going here in the Tigers' half of the 4th inning. Ripped but foul.
Just slightly in front, hit it well. A little in front of it.
Teodosio, one of those players Monty Lee talked about before the game as to the good work he's been doing at the plate. Trying to bring the strikeout number down this season, but the athleticism certainly helps, and that's into left field. Thought that might have a chance to get into the gap, but quickly run down and tossed back in by Griffin Merritt. But the beat goes on here in the 4th, 1st and 2nd now with 1 away.
And you can see now he's probably about fatigued, and I wouldn't be surprised if they went ahead and made a change. But just everything's starting to get up a little bit, starting to battle on the mound a lot more. It's not smooth and easy like it was.
Blake Wright, the Tigers' righty hitting third baseman, about to stand in, and it'll be Scott Guggens going to the mound. Has not indicated yet. He had a righty warming up in the bullpen. Max Bergman, a freshman right-hander, will indeed get the call as Scott Guggens makes the motion to the bullpen. And it seems as if he might be stalling for more time for Bergman to warm up, but he had already concluded. He had already concluded his warm-up throws. So a pitching change here in the home 4th inning. Tigers have him 1st and 2nd. We'll come back and give you the totals on the new pitcher after this. 6'3", 195. Max Bergman out of Georgetown, Indiana. Freshman, and this will be his debut, as best we can tell, for this Cincinnati team. And he comes on here in the 4th in relief of the senior Shane Lee, who to this point has given up 6 runs on 6 hits. 3 of them home runs. 2 of them were really tagged by the Tigers' Dylan Brewer and then Jonathan French. Bergman, one of many who pretty much is responding to a help wanted sign for their bullpen. They are trying to identify some guys here in the early going in the season that they can count on once they get into conference play.
Yeah, and watching him warm up, he looks like he's a mid-80s guy. Change up, breaking ball. And just looking for those guys. There's a certain makeup, a certain chemistry for a guy out there to be a reliever. It's not an easy task. You can have a good arm and not have the right makeup to handle the pressure situations when you come in and everything's already in a mess. How you handle that and get out of it. Some guys thrive in it, others collapse in it, and so he's going to be working and looking and watching and seeing who we can fill in that role.
Their first baseman Nicholson was a high school teammate at St. Xavier of Bergman, who indeed is making his debut. Got to be real careful this year when you see a guy listed in his particular class. Now, granted, if he was a true freshman last year, they're calling him a redshirt freshman this year, but they were all given last season back in terms of eligibility. Top of the order, Wright has singled and scored and then struck out in the 2nd inning. Guy that they think will have increasing power as his Clemson career continues.
Yeah, that's the unknown, right? How bigger, how much stronger, how much bat speed increases.
Hey, what's your now?
Gallo at second, Teodosio at first. Good speed in the base pass, off speed. The count goes 1-2. We noted the very prominent Catholic school league in Cincinnati from an athletic standpoint, and the pitcher on the hill comes from a very good such league in Louisville, which both their public and Catholic high school programs have produced a lot of athletes over the years.
Well, he's showing good composure. He's started off with a breaking ball, mid-80s.
Sky to center, room for Murray. Gallo tags at second. There he goes. Teodosio trying to move up from first. And he's out. Delayed call by the second base umpire, Danny Everett. And that will bring us to 3 outs in the inning. There was some confusion on the base pass. First double play recorded by the Cincinnati defense this year. Monty Lee coming out to check it out. We'll score it 8-4 on the double play for now. And let's see if Monty Lee is going to ask them to go to the videotape for a second time today. So yesterday you had the play out there in the middle of the infield that looked like an interference play. And earlier, Davis Sharp got the benefit of the doubt on video when he was hit by a pitch earlier in this inning. And it worked out to the Tigers' advantage because Sharp eventually came home to score. But let's see if Teodosio gets the hand in there. I think
he was definitely in, as whether
and
he
then
came
the hand came off with the contact.
Yeah, it's hard to know. Even right there, he looks like he slid. But
Tigers will not appeal. 2 runs coming home in the inning. 6-2 as we head to the 5th. Head inning number 5. Tigers have a 6-2 lead. The long ball has been a prominent part of that. 3 homers in the game for Clemson. A couple of 2-run blasts in the first inning. And then the fellow there with the red hair and the sweatshirt caught the ricochet. Jonathan French bombed off the front of the roof out in left field in the bottom half of the 4th. So ACC schedule notes include 50 total games, 36 conference games over 12 weekends. This year, of course, modified because of the pandemic, and you are allowed to play non-conference games, of course, this weekend against Cincinnati for the Tigers. Next weekend, the big rivalry series, 3 games in 3 different locations against South Carolina. And one of the few times in this athletic year that Clemson and South Carolina teams will go head-to-head, so I think that even adds some more intrigue. And we'll have the ball game for you right here Friday at 4 p.m. to start out the weekend. Joe Powell, the catcher, steps in for the Bearcats.
So nice to be able to do that. The state just thrives on that so much, that opportunity to go at each other and to boast and to brag and do all those things. So it's nice that some of those can take place.
Marcellus Pandya is making a case for regular work out of the Clemson bullpen. A former Malden standout who began his collegiate career at Wofford came in and cleaned things up, to say the least, in the 3rd inning when the Bearcats got their first 2 on against the Clemson starter Caden Grice. Powell now ahead in the count 3-1, and then retired the side in order in the 4th, so he's on for a 3rd inning of work. Powell in Friday's game was 0 for 2, walked and struck out. Picks up his 2nd walk of the weekend, and yet again a leadoff runner on for the Cincinnati team.
It's good to see. Look, I'm not sure how long they'll go with him, and I'm just talking off the top of my head. Just even though he didn't throw a lot yesterday, you warm up and you throw, then you warm up and you come in again, plus the extra innings today. So I would be surprised if they let it go too long.
Teodosio barely had to move on the hard shot by Kamasek. 1 away. You saw the Tigers and Gamecocks, 4 p.m. on Friday. And the benefit is if you're still at work, you can conspicuously, or in a very quiet way, just kind of put your phone in an area where maybe you can see it, no one else can.
Are you telling me not to focus on my work?
I always find turning the phone to the side, of course, for the best viewing, so the screen is filled with a picture.
Right.
Again, we'd prefer you turn the volume up, but if it's muted, we'll understand. Catcher at first, so you probably don't have to worry too much about him trying to swipe second. Leadoff batter Eric Santiago. Flied out to right to start the game in the first. Then he walked and was stranded by Pandya in the third. He was the last batter faced by Grice, the Tigers starter. 1-2 the count. So a guy out of the prominent program at Malden followed a guy from the very prominent program at Riverside on the mound for the Clemson team today. Chop to the plate. Santiago hit .314 a year ago with a homer and 9 batted in roughly a dozen games. Hard shot and right, unable to handle it. Powell will hold up at second. First and second with one away here in the Bearcats' fifth. E5 on the ruling, and I got to tell you, that was an absolute bleeder.
It was a smoking hot shot, but to me it had enough distance from him that it wasn't that true difficult hop. I think he just lifted up a little bit on that, and that would have been a nice double play ball. Of course, I'm speaking from a pitcher's perspective, right?
And why wouldn't you?
Yeah, you're supposed to get in front of those 100-mile-an-hour shots and make a double play for me.
Tigers turned to double play today and 5 on the weekend. Tough batter, especially in this situation. It was the first guy that Pandya faced, Joe Bellini. 1 for 2 in the game. He hit a chopper to third that Wright made a nice play on to at least get the that moved the runners up in the Bearcats' third inning. But a strikeout and a fly to right, and Pandya was able to get out of the inning, and back to second is Powell. Did I hear the entire Bearcats dugout yell balk or get back?
Get back, I think.
Yeah, okay. I wasn't sure if they were all accusing Pandya of a balk there. Pandya trying to work out of this jam. Gets ahead 0-2. There is activity in the Tigers bullpen as they've got the righty Matt Anglin up.
Even in his fatigue, I like the way he's battled back and throwing strikes after getting in a little trouble. A lot of good things from him, I think, for this year.
Ryan Ammons is the left-hander you also see warming, and almost caught a piece of Bellini. Bellini from Winter Park, Florida. Went to St. John's Community College before arriving at UC.
Weak jam shot right there. Got inside on him. Just dribbled it down the line.
On the weekend, Bellini going down on strikes 3 times in the first 2 games. He struck out 6 times a year ago in 35 plate appearances. And a shot past the first baseman Hawkins. That'll score at least 1, we think. Powell coming to the plate. It's a 6-3 game, and Bellini will move up to second on the throw. So second and third now with 1 out and a run in here in the 5th inning. Scored a single and an RBI.
So make good piece of it. That was actually a pretty good pitch, and he just did a great job of hitting. I know the intensity of wanting to throw a guy out, but you got to hit your cutoff guy so you don't advance the second runner getting into second to have 2 runners in scoring position. So a little bit of mistake on the throw to home plate.
Andrew C. visiting the mound. Looks like the left-hander will be called upon to face the lefty hitting Ryan Nicholson. Unearned run here in the 5th inning for the Cincinnati Bearcats. They're not going away after falling behind early 4-0 and then 6-2. through 4, and we will see the Tigers left-hander Ryan Amons coming on. We'll tell you about him when we come back. Freshman Ryan Amons out of Wren High from Easley. It's another player from close by. Third Tigers pitcher on the day, and the third to come from the upstate.
I know Ryan pretty well. I did lessons for him when he was a young player in Little League, coming up in rec, and he's progressed to be quite a player, and looking forward to his shot at the next level.
So Amons on, and just as Caden Grice was making his Clemson debut today, and had to be thrilled for Grice to get out there for the first time. For Amons, he's a redshirt freshman in this Clemson program. Tough assignment to start out, as Ryan Nicholson will stand in. Nicholson has struck out both times up, and coming in was 1 for 7 in the series, but still a 400 hitter a year ago. Big swing on 89-mile-an-hour pitch for strike 1.
Good start for the young lefty. Get ahead in a tight situation. Help calm some nerves.
0-2 the count, so Amons trying to clean up for Pandya, just as Pandya did so for Grice.
French did a nice job there. He was really strong with that catch and gave that umpire an opportunity to say, hey, that's close enough. I'm going to give it to him.
Ripped and fouled. Nicholson with 4 strikeouts on the weekend. Did have one of their 2 hits in Friday's 5-0 loss, but lefty on lefty here, and the count 0-2. You like Amons' chances.
Yeah, the low humidity, the wind blowing on this lefty, it's hard on the breaking ball, and that's what he really needs here to get that bite.
Did he go? No, says the third base umpire, Craig Barron.
He wanted to, and looked like he held it up to me. More body turn than bat.
One-two pitch. Time granted. Teodosio will call for it. Let's see if it's deep enough for the runner to tag and come. He'll go about a third of the way down the line. And Santiago made the right choice, it appears. So second and third, but now with 2 away on the fly out to center.
Good pitch by Amons. Got it up and in a little bit. Just jammed him with it.
Griffin Merritt walked and scored in the second. Flied out to right in the 9th. Left fielder out of Cincinnati, LaSalle, the junior. 1 for 7 in the series. Second on their team in the abbreviated 2020 season with 11 batted in. Takes ball 1.
And this one you got to really focus, because it's easy to let your guard down after making a big out, and you got that, and not really concentrate and put a pitch in a bad location right after that. Bear down, try and get ahead.
Inner third, 1-1 the count.
Real good placement right there, and might have got the benefit of the doubt a little bit right there, but
would be a critical situation in a 6-3 game as Bearcats trying to take advantage of their opportunities, and the count now in the favor of the Tigers pitcher Amons.
You see a different demeanor. Both Pandya and him have done a good job so far, but the demeanor on him is one of a lot of energy, a lot of pumping, a lot of emotion. Both work really well and can help your team get a spark.
Right side, it'll go out of play. The right-handed hitting second baseman Mercer. Good bat waits on deck, so nothing easy here for Ammons. Trying to work out of a second and third jam with one away in the Cincinnati fifth and 1 run in. Count goes 2-2. I would suppose the big talk by Scott Guggen's Cincinnati head coach to his batters today was don't chase after the 26 strikeouts in the first 2 games. Straight up on the right side. First baseman Hawkins, foul territory. It drops in fair territory, and 2 runs will come home. And interestingly, the wind is actually blowing in a little bit from left field.
Yeah, same problem as yesterday. That's a high sky. There is nothing to gauge on where it is. First baseman was really struggling. Second baseman has to call him off and take that over. I know first baseman thought he had it, but man, that thing's drifting. It's disappearing. You can't gauge it. It's such a better view coming into the ball than backing up to it. So
obviously the runners were off on contact, and a 6-5 game now. Nicholson, or I should say Merritt, held at first. Here's Mercer, and that'll be scored a hit. You could conceivably give an error to Hawkins even though the ball never touched leather, but in that situation you got to take into account the elements and so forth. So a 2-run single for Merritt. Big swing and a miss for strike 1. Mercer singled and scored in the second, grounded out to the second baseman Gallo in the fourth.
Jace, here you go, Jace.
Shot left center field. Merritt will head to third. Mercer thought about trying to take second. First and third now with 2 men out. Fifth base runner in the inning, and that was a shot.
yeah, and so you starting to get now. You've seen him throw maybe 8-10 fastballs in a row. He's got a little bit of deflatedness because of the play that he didn't get the out on, and it can unravel in a hurry, and he needs to really try and focus, try and hit with a breaking ball, try and get that to
center field. Teodosio got turned around just about halfway up the hill, able to grab it on the shot by Murray. Bearcats, though, strike for 3 in the fifth. We've got a tight game here at Doug Kingsmore, 6-5. Dylan Brewer known as much for the good on-base percentage, but if he can give you some pop, you take it. That was the case in the first inning.
Yeah, he bolted that one dead center almost in the power slot.
First home run of the season. It was hit to left center with the wind blowing slightly out to right. That was the first of 2 2-run homers in the Tigers' first, and 1 of 3 in the ball game today. Brewer and French with the most impressive of the shots. Parker will more than happily claim his shot to left field, which was hit on a line and got out of the park in a hurry, but caught the netting of the foul pole, so it was just in. Brewer was a Latta Viking in high school. Here in his second year in the program. That right field slot, and a good guy to have up there in the top of your lineup. .413 on-base percentage a year ago.
I think this is a big inning for Clemson on offense. They found this kind of getting away from them a little bit, and they really need to try and push another run across if they can. They're in the pen. He throws a change up here, and it's just such an effective pitch when you're throwing it in that location.
Bounced up there. Second inning of work for Max Bergman, making his Cincinnati debut in relief of the senior Garrett Shanley, who was touched up early, was unhittable as he retired 9 in a row with 5 straight strikeouts, and then Tigers getting to him again in the 4th inning as French clobbered one, and then Davis Sharp was able to come home on an RBI single by Pierce Gallo. Count goes full. Brewer, Hawkins, and Parker here in the Tigers' 5th. That'll go out of play. Folks with the Bearcats travel party just raving about the atmosphere here, even with limited attendance, and really just love the whole deal. It's been a while since they played Clemson, and they really haven't played all that much over the years, even though Cincinnati is only about a 6.5-hour drive from the Clemson area. And ball 4, leadoff walk here in the 5th inning.
Little chink right there. Bergman's been throwing really good. He's kept it in a good location. He's mixing up his speeds, keeping hitters off balance, but gets a walk right there, and that's always dangerous against a good hitting team.
Tigers have had 2 batters hit by pitch, but that is the first walk issued by Cincinnati pitching so far this afternoon. Brewer stands at first. Big swing and a miss. Briar Hawkins, ball gets away, but no advance. Hawkins, the very first pitch he saw in our Sunday ball game was an off-speed that caught him in the 1st inning. He went to first, and James Parker promptly followed with a 2-run blast. Last time up, he went down swinging as the 5th consecutive strikeout by Shanley. That was in the 3rd. Powell recognizing Brewer's got good speed at first. You saw him fake the throw. Brewer was perfect in his 2 stolen base opportunities a season ago. Had a stolen base on Friday and another on Saturday, so he probably thinking trifecta right here today.
Absolutely.
Come on, bro. Here we go, man. Come on up.
Take strike 2. Hawkins so far on the weekend. 0 for 2 on Friday, 1 for 4 Saturday, and 0 for 1 today, but after getting hit by the pitch, scored that run.
Boy, hang in there.
Another breaking ball. He threw a backup breaking ball, the one he took the time before. It's supposed to bite across the plate, but it just kind of spun inside. Hard to pick up if you're a hitter.
Just like the Tigers have a group of pitchers in their bullpen trying to make a case for a role on a regular basis, Bergman trying to do the same for the Bearcats. And Murray in center retreats into the shadows for out number 1. James Parker extended his hitting streak going back to last season to 10 games when he came up in the 1st. Hawkins was on base, and by gosh, it's a game of inches, and we saw it right there.
Yeah, And if that wasn't there, it might have looked a lot bigger of a home run too, because that might have carried another 50 because it was so hard when it still hit that fencing there. So
it got out the fastest of the three we've seen hit today. It was just the least impressive because the other two were hit either to where they were in the ballpark or in the case of French, I mean, I thought
his height too was so impressive on French's.
Yeah. French's looked like it might hit the roof of the indoor football building.
Yeah.
You know, that's how impressive a clout that was. Parker, of course, a legacy in this Clemson program. His dad was a pitcher for the Tigers in the late 80s. Played some third, moved over to short this season. 7 runs batted in the shortened 2020 campaign, and his first 2 in this 2021 season coming with that cloud in the opening inning. Once again, it gets away from Powell, who quickly retreats. Kevin Youkilis among the Cincinnati baseball alums. We've had some guys come through and go on to the majors. Parker providing the Tigers some pop at a position where Logan Davidson did for those years in the program. When you can have a shortstop who can hit, that's an added bonus at this level.
Absolutely. Clemson's had some good players at that position.
Brewer at first will be chased back because 3-1, and you could see Monty Lee putting him in motion. Good hit and run count, because you figure that middle innings, 1-run game, Cincinnati pitchers trying to attack. Bergman's probably coming with something over the plate here. Boy, hit with the same oomph on it as that liner he hit out of the park, but well foul.
Everything coming off his bat has had pop here in the start of this season, so real plus for Clemson right now, and looking for him to try and advance this runner. Boy,
good job by the first baseman Nicholson to keep that in front of him and field it cleanly. Bergman from the Louisville area, which is only an hour and a half, 2-hour drive from Cincinnati, so a good place for them to go and recruit. Runner going, chopped off the foot. It'll be a foul ball, and boy, Parker's going to need to walk that off. Brewer had a great jump.
Yeah, that was one of those where they were going to try and take advantage of the contact ability of Parker, as well as getting him on the run and maybe score him on a base hit.
Yeah, it looked like it was off the foot, actually more off of the area right below the knee.
Yeah, that high shin.
Still a day in which, what are we at, about 50 degrees? It'll sting just a little bit more on a chilly day. One away, man on first. Another payoff pitch coming. Let's see if they have Brewer on the move. There he goes, and fouled out of play.
Good battle. Bergman, for a freshman's done a nice job. He's around the plate. He's changing his speeds, different pitches, different locations. Not showing himself to be flustered at all by the pressure of it.
Parker has had a bumpy weekend, to say the least. I caught him right in the hand. Wow. And there, just bounced right on back, and obviously it hasn't affected his power. Runner goes again, left field. Merritt backing up on it, and on the hill, he'll pull it in, and retreating to first is Brewer. Wind is blowing in ever so slightly from left, and maybe, just maybe, if it weren't, that might have had a chance to get over the fence. But instead, a noisy second out in the inning. And here comes Jonathan French, who is making his Clemson debut this weekend. Last year he didn't play at all due to an injury in the shortened season. Friday night, good way to start in your first game, and the Clemson uniform. That right there is, you know it when you know it, and he did.
He definitely showed it.
That came to lead off the fourth inning, so here he is in the fifth with a man on first, 2 away. Good looking catcher, and again, with that power behind the plate, as Clemson has had with some of their guys who've been catchers over the years. Just a seeing eye grounder that time, so he shows his versatility as a hitter. It'll be first and third with 2 away.
Didn't hit it hard, put it in the right spot though.
Brewer, who gets a really nice first jump, I've been noticing, is on the move here since he's gotten the first and got the good speed, made it look pretty easy.
Yeah, he worked it hard all the way to the bag just in case something gets away. Popped up quickly off the slide in case it was an errant throw. He could have scored from that.
French out of Parkview High, which has had a few notable players over the year, one whose last name rhymes with Ancor, among others. And that time he showed you just how good of a hitter he is. Previous at bat, he hit a ball that, had it not hit the roof, might have gone about 550 feet, and at that time just hit it in the right place. Visit to the mound by the pitching coach, J.D. Heilman. He's actually in his second stint as a pitching coach with Cincinnati. Interestingly, we talked about all the lefties they have on their staff, especially in their starting rotation. And he was a left-handed pitcher. So I've got to think that, and it's not that they necessarily recruit them because he was a lefty, but again, it works best for their ballpark. You're better getting lefty-lefty matchups in their home park. But it's got to help him, having been a left-hander, to have so many left-handers on the staff.
Yeah, he knows how to work with them. They're always a little screwier than the right-handers now. Let me just tell you, they get wear their hat a little off center, and but he would understand, how to pick off, those types of things. He can really benefit those lefties as they come in.
Junior righty Bo Keithley is warming in the Cincinnati bullpen. There's also some activity in the Clemson bullpen, we're told. And also Nathan Moore starting to get loose down in the Cincinnati bullpen. Davis Sharp with a shot to left field. Merritt's going to have a hard time catching up to it. It'll score a run as it bounces against the wall. Sharp will pull it a second with an RBI double. Tigers move back in front by a couple of runs, 7-5, and have second and third now with 2 men out.
Really a big hit right there, taking advantage of runners on base and pushing one across after the score got tight with just 1 run. Catches the fastball, drives it. Looked for a moment that the left fielder was going to be able to run that down, but it just kept slicing away from him and all the way to the wall for a double, scoring the run.
First hit, first RBI for Sharp here in 2021. Opportunity here for Elijah Henderson to add some insurance here in the middle innings. Bergman delivering away inside. Henderson moved up the runners to second and third his last time up, and that proved to be big because they moved a runner over rather, and that runner came across to score Sharp. Grounded out to short his first time up. The Tigers left fielder looking for his first hit on the weekend. Hit .323 in 2020.
Big hit here would really take the pressure off a little bit going into these later innings.
Bergman ahead in the count, 1-2. Bergman has done a nice job trying to hold it right here and keep the Bearcats in this game. Before you knew it, they trailed 4-0 on a couple of 2-run homers off their senior lefty Garrett Shanley, but he settled down. Tigers chasing him in the 4th with a couple of runs, but Bergman has been effective out of their bullpen. Henderson played his high school ball in northern Greenville County at Blue Ridge. This lineup for the Tigers is either Atlanta area or upstate area. Monty Lee and his staff have put it together.
Well, South Carolina, Georgia is really producing some good players. I mean, they're playing some good baseball and have seen good results.
Kind of got to be a little bit jumpy when you're that runner on third, as is the case for the Tigers catcher Jonathan French. Henderson trying to deliver him, and Sharp, who stands at second. 1-2 pitch. Bergman gets out of it with 1 run scored on the RBI double by Sharp, and the Tigers strand him in scoring position. Through 5 innings, Clemson trying for a 3-0 start in the season, up 7-5. With Marty Clary, Pete Hannity with you back at Doug Kingsmore Stadium. Head to the 6th in a 7-5 game. The rivalry weekend is ahead. Friday here, then at the neutral site on Saturday, and then down to Columbia for Sunday. ETSU and the Tigers, the Bucks out of the Southern Conference on March 2nd. ACC play begins in a couple of weekends. The Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. That's what's ahead. USC Upstate will make the short trip over for a game on March 9th. Limited schedule this year compared to usual, but just happy every time you can go out there and play if you're really any college athlete. Mac Anglin on for the Tigers, the freshman, big guy at 6'4", 220. He'll be the 4th pitcher used by Monty Lee today. And Anglin, so the Tigers in his 2nd year in the program, and a fellow they think can be very effective in this role as the season moves forward. He's originally from the state of Ohio, so probably familiar with some of the guys on this Cincinnati roster.
Yeah. A lot of freshmen being used, and a lot of them are going to be older freshmen because of the way the season went with the COVID last year. But great opportunity for Coach Lee to figure out, okay, who can I count on as things get really tough and rough as we get into conference play, as we get into the long year and people are tired or hurt. And so this is, you know, you'd like to see clean, easy wins, and yet there's some great positives to be taken when it's tough and you have to fight and you have to dig and you have to claw, and so and even chew out a little bit, right? They've done some things they can have to correct to be better when they get into conference play. So
7, 8, and 9 due up for the Bearcats, but they are going to go with Wyatt Stapp as a pinch hitter, lefty to face the righty Anglin. Stapp was the DH in the first couple of games, 0 for 8 in the series, and he struck out 3 times, so he'll try to change that here in the Cincinnati 6th inning. Ryan Hammond's day is done on the hill for the Tigers. He came on in relief in the 5th inning. Pitched 2/3 of an inning, faced 4 batters.
And it didn't go the way he wanted, but I think Coach is going to say, I liked what I saw.
Yep.
You know, as a pop-up that, you know, unfortunately the high sky, that the fielder had no real good opportunity for it.
Yeah, he was a pitcher who looked like he'd induce the final out of the inning with 2 outs. Griffin Merritt popped it up high on the right side. That Hawkins, the first baseman, went a few steps into foul territory. Ended up not only not making the catch for the out, but the ball landed in fair territory, and the runners on second and third were already standing on home plate by the time the ball landed.
We saw 6, maybe 8 of those yesterday in that same type of sky. 4 or 5 were caught, a couple were dropped in that same fashion, right? Just think you have it, they're set, and they're 3, 4, 5 feet away from it when it finally comes down.
Scott Googins hoping that Stapp out of Keller, Texas can get something going here. That'll stay outside like his teammate and their right fielder, Paul Comastek. Stapp came to them after beginning his career at the University of Tennessee. He's in his 3rd season in the Bearcats program. At 283 a year ago with 11 driven in. Did not hit a home run. Goes the other way. A looper. It'll fall in for a leadoff single. And the catcher, Joe Powell, will stand in. 0 for 1 in the game, but he walked and scored last time up in the 5th.
Off the end of the bat, maybe the benefit of aluminum rather than wood right there. Might have broke it if it was wood. Not a terrible pitch, a little bit up.
Powell, a sophomore out of Mason, Ohio, right there in the Cincinnati area. Chasing for strike 1.
Anglin's been the first guy I see with a really sharp breaking ball each and every time he's thrown it. Not always been a strike, but it's biting really sharp, getting good spin on it.
And didn't mean to, but he did, says the home plate umpire Doug Vines.
Yeah.
So Anglin ahead in the count, 0-2 to the 8th place hitter in the Bearcats lineup. French able to keep it in front of him. Boy, you really like, first time I've laid my eyes on French in person, what an impressive hitter he is, and behind the plate. And the nice thing is, as a second-year guy in the program, yeah, he's a freshman playing in his first season since he wasn't available for the abbreviated campaign last year, but he knows a lot of the pitchers, and boy, they will take that every time he has one delivered to him, called strike 3. 4th time a Bearcat has gone down to the game on strikes.
It's early in the season, but he's demonstrated all the qualities French has. He's frames it really well. He's strong with his hand so it doesn't drop out of the zone. He threw a perfect bullet on the throw-out steal attempt, right on the bag. Good arm, power, making contact, leading. Good qualities.
Second strikeout for the Tigers bullpen. Pandya was able to retire Nicholson, the first baseman, back in the 3rd. Comastek, that other Tennessee transfer, the right fielder, who has the lone home run so far this weekend for the Bearcats. Hit a shot to Teodosio in center to close things out. Or rather in the 5th inning as the leadoff batter before eventually they were able to work out of the inning were the Tigers, but not before 3 Bearcats runs came home. Runner at first, Stapp, a year ago was perfect, and 2 stolen base tries. No, says the first base umpire, Randy Watkins.
Another sharp breaking ball, but good bit outside. Not really one to chase.
Comastek, his 2nd season in their program since he transferred in from Tennessee, is stepping off is Anglin. Count evens at 2-2. Inside edge, called strike 3. 2 up, 2 down, both caught looking.
Boy, the beauty of changing speeds. Breaking ball, breaking ball, breaking ball. Boom, fastball. Got the benefit of an inch and strikes him out, freezes him on the inside fastball.
Top of the order, Eric Santiago, the third baseman, hit a shot through the legs of right at third base in the 5th inning, and that got things going. This time a chopper, it'll go foul. I really think they could have scored that batted ball a hit instead of an E5, but nonetheless he was on base. He eventually came around to score the first of their.
It was definitely hard enough.
Yeah.
If it was just off one foot or the other, probably would have. But because it split them, they usually feel like they can't do it, even though it's, you know, like I say, 100 miles an hour at you.
Scored the first of those 2 runs on the bloop by Merritt. That just got inside of the right field line behind the infield, and the play Hawkins couldn't make. As it was interesting to see the ball drop and look at home plate, and both he and Bellini were standing right in that area. Runner going, and head first slide in safely for Stapp. So that'll put a man in scoring position with 2 men out, but a 1-2 count.
Not much
on
chance
the batter,
on
Santiago.
that. Yeah, not much chance on that throw. He had such a good jump on it. Throw was just a little high, but even if it was right on the bag, I'm not seeing him being able to get there that in time. He had just too good a jump on the stretch.
Second stolen base on the weekend for the Bearcats. Swing and a miss. Down on strikes goes Santiago. All 3 outs in the inning recorded by way of the strikeout. Good job by Anglin out of the pen. Tigers sending the Bearcats back to the dugout. 7-5 as we move to the bottom of the 6th. Fun at the old game. And the hill can be where the games are played, or the diamond below it. But those guys having a great time playing another sport that's kind of popular around this campus. Third pitcher in the game for the Cincinnati Bearcats, Bo Keithley, came to them from Oakland University just outside of Detroit, and they think that he can come in and add something to that bullpen group.
Well, he brings the odd look, one you don't see a lot of, sidewind pitching delivery.
All-conference performer in the Horizon League when he was at Oakland, so has some quality stuff. Pierce Gallo, the Tigers' second baseman, 8th place hitter in the order, picked up an RBI single in the 4th inning when the Tigers pushed a couple across and added to, at the time, what was a 4-2 lead.
Stay in your zone, Pierce.
Gallo picked up his first RBI of the season. He has a hit in each game in the series. Nicholson, and he'll take it himself for out number 1.
So it's hard to make that adjustment when you've been seeing guys come over the top, over the top, over the top, and now it's coming from the side, and it gets in on you a little quicker. It runs towards you a little bit, especially on a right-handed hitter. So might see a couple jam shots here until they get used to the delivery. And that's what you want from a guy like this. You know, give me 1 round of hitters, and we'll get you out for the next guy.
Bryce Teodosio 1 for 2, and then on a hustle play was caught at second trying to advance on a fly to center field after he reached in the 4th inning. But a good start for the 4th-year center fielder out of Simpsonville. Started Malden High. 1-1 the count. Pretty nice movement that time off the arm of Heathley.
Yeah, he throws pretty good. Mid to upper 80s, and the ball runs 4, 5, 6 inches. Makes it really tough to find the release point out of hand there.
Submarine action for Keithley, 6'1", 185. And because they have so many lefties in their starting rotation, they really don't have the proportion in their bullpen they'd like. But they've got him. He's a kind of a submarine guy. They got another three-quarter guy as a righty, and they feel like that kind of helps change the look from the others they'll bring in out of their pen.
Yes.
Did he go? No, and the count evens at 2-2. Teodosio lives to face another pitch. Swing and a miss. First strikeout of a Tiger since Shanley got 5 straight back in the second and the third.
Just really good tight spin there. Slider. Tough to pick up to begin with. By the time you read it, you're out in front of it too much.
Top of the order, Blake Wright. Singled and scored in the first, and since struck out, and he's the one who hit that pop fly to center that ended up being a double play in the fourth when Teodosio was thrown out at second on a really nice throw by Murray, their center fielder. Boy, really interesting delivery. A lot of submarine guys you think more of as going way lower than he does. He's almost as straight of a sidearm guy as you'll see.
Yep, he is. And it's a sweeper, and it's a much different look that they've seen so far. You know, about middle of the year, they'll have seen several like that and won't be as big a deal. But right now, well, they just haven't seen that, and it's throwing them off a little bit.
.86 miles an hour, 2-2 the count. In part thanks to Davis Sharp and Matt Clark, a dominant performance by the Tigers in Friday's opener, the 5-0 win. Yesterday was one of those Clemson kind of built the lead and then wore things out. But a competitive game today, 3 up, 3 down, and the Tigers 6. 7-5 is our score. Getting late here in Doug Kingsmore Stadium. Of the 7-5 game, here's how we arrived. Dylan Brewer, man on, nobody out, home first, gone about 400 feet to center field, and James Parker using the foul pole. Why not? That was a rocket. Tigers able to build the 4-0 lead. Cincinnati got a couple in their half of the second to make it a 4-2 game, and it looked like Garrett Shanley was really dialed in. He retired 9 straight, struck out 5 in a row, but eventually that absolute bomb hit by Jonathan French that came in the 4th inning was part of him being chased. Tigers eventually building the lead to 6-2. Bearcats coming back with 3 in their top half of the 5th inning, including, well, a ball that found its place, the bloop off the bout of Garrett Merritt, able to get a couple home. Griffin Merritt's pop scored and 2-run single. Tigers then getting one back in the bottom half of that 5th inning and building the 7-5 lead as Davis Sharp coming through as part of the Tigers attack today. And eventually Brewer able to score on the RBI double by Sharp, and thus a 7-5 game. Joe Bellini, the shortstop for the Cincinnati team, second place hitter in their order, leads things off in the Bearcats' 7th. You saw that opposite field grounder that got inside of the bag at first back in the Cincinnati 5th, and that was off the bat of Bellini, and that's what led to the pitching change as Pandia's day was done. Second inning for Mac Anglin. Anglin gave up a leadoff single to Stapp, a pinch hitter, in the 6th inning. Little opposite field Bluth, then proceeded to strike out the next 3 and make it 4 consecutive, going down on strikes for the Bearcats, and that's out number 1 in the 7th.
He just continues to throw a sharp slider, a curveball, whatever you want to call it. To me, it's a slider, and hitters just cannot lay off of it when it's bad, and haven't really made good contact when it's in the strike zone.
7th strikeout by Tigers pitching today, give him 33 on the weekend. Here's the first baseman, Nicholson, looking for his first hit today. Caught looking, caught swinging, and then a fly out to center field in the 5th inning. And again skied, this time to left. Long run in for Henderson, but it hangs up and really just behind shortstop, puts it away for a quick out number 2. But an easier play, I think, coming in than trying to backpedal if you're Parker, the shortstop.
Yeah, it was a long run, but vision-wise, it's easier in this sky coming from that direction. You got a good look at the ball and know exactly where it's going to come down.
Griffin Merritt, who had that blue 2-run single his last time up. 3 RBIs in the early going for the Bearcats in 2021. Teodosio in center field. He'll move slightly to his left, and quick work by Anglin here in the 7th. 7th inning stretch time at Doug Kingsmore. Tigers going for the opening sweep. They're up by a couple. Bottom of the 7th for the Tigers. And Clemson has 2, 3, and 4 due up. Brewer, Hawkins, and Parker. 2nd inning on for Keithley, who was impressive, retiring the side in order in the 6th. Brewer having a fine 3rd game of this 2021 campaign. 2-run homer. He's also walked and scored a run. Was coming on either side of a strikeout back in the 3rd. Sidearm delivery for strike 1.
This will be a little more of a challenge. Left-handers usually have a little better look at somebody, right-hander coming from the side position, so expect the left-handers to have a little bit better swing at it.
The release point, though, does look different from pitch to pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to be good for them, I think. The way I see, he's got a good tight spin on his slider. He's got a good run on his fastball. Looks to me like he's pretty good mechanics-wise on throwing strikes.
Off speed, stays outside, 1 and 2.
Tried to backdoor that slider on him, but just got off the corner of the plate.
Brewer with a really good eye. 14 walks in his freshman season last year in the limited opportunities. Good on-base percentage. And another left-hand bat in that lineup for Monty Lee. 2-2. Left field. Merritt. High sky. And he'll make the catch a few feet inside of fair territory for out number 1.
Brewer hit that one pretty good with the wind coming across from a left field. It knocked it down a little bit and pushed it to the side rather than carrying it, so he didn't get the benefit of the air.
And like an earlier ball we
close,
saw,
yes.
The wind blowing in from left may have knocked that down a little bit. Briar Hawkins hit by a pitch and scored. Flied out to center his last time up. And that'll be strike 1. J.D. Heilman, their pitching coach, was talking particularly about Keithley before the game and how they really like some of the things. And their head coach, Scott Guggens, was as well, about the talent he brings to them from Oakland. Santiago plays the hop. And Nicholson able to apply the tag. Nice job by the first baseman coming off the bag for out number 2.
Got him on the shirt right there.
James Parker with that 2-run homer in the first has since grounded to third and flied to left, and it was his fly to left we just alluded to that might have gotten out had the wind not been blowing in as it is. That was back in the 5th inning. Looked like he was swinging for the downs again that time.
Yeah, and you're going to pull off of it if you swing and open up that much. You've got to stay in, close that front shoulder, try and take that pitch up the middle.
Boy.
Tigers will try to continue what is always a good trend to have and has been the case in the first 2 ball games so far this weekend, and that's winning a game when leading through 7 innings. Merritt puts it away for out number 3. Another deep one, but nothing to show for it for Parker. 3 up, 3 down. Head to the 8th. 7-5 Tigers. 7-8-1 for the Tigers. 5-7-1 for the Bearcats. But the most competitive games so far this weekend in this 3-game set. Tigers trying to take care of business ahead of the rivalry weekend against South Carolina that's upcoming. But tough batter to start out here for Mac Anglin. Jace Mercer, the second baseman, 2 for 3 in the game. No doubt his family looked forward to this series as he's out of the Atlanta area. I would think it was a easy trek for them. Played at Johns Creek High, as we noted earlier, same high school of the Tigers outfielder Bo Makowski. One of those high schools that's produced a lot of high-level baseball talent. 2-0 the count, and Anglin, who's retired 6 in a row, had been getting ahead most of the hitters he's faced since he came on in relief to start the 6th inning.
Good job there to get back on track as he fell behind 2-0, and then a little fastball in there for a strike.
Switch hitting Mercer turned around to the left side this time. Guy that they say they can bat him in the role he is today, kind of down more middle of the lineup, and he's got a 3-hit day, or also working the leadoff role, and I think as a switch hitter we have seen where he would be phenomenal in that part of their lineup as well.
Yeah, he makes good contact, you know, battles pitcher, so big asset in that spot.
Here comes the center fielder, Murray. Mercer on first. Singled in the second has since flied out to left and flied out to center. Lefty hitting center fielder who grew up in Cincinnati, began his collegiate career in Northern Kentucky, but it was probably a natural that he would end up back with the Bearcats. His mom for many years has been on the staff in the football office at Cincinnati, so another family member now in their athletic department. Outside for ball 1. Mercer at first a year ago was 7 of 8 in stolen base tries. But down too late, you got to wonder just how aggressive they want to be.
Yeah, I think if they feel like they can get a jump on him, they're going to try and take advantage. He's tall, so his kick sometimes a little higher. He likes to throw the breaking ball a lot. It opens up potentially the infield a little more.
Mercer faked as if he was going to go off speed, and a good pitch by Anglin, and he's ahead in the count 1-2.
That was that good slider. Had he gone, it would have been tough to throw him out.
Swing and a miss. No, just got a piece. Looked like French had held on.
Yeah, they call it definitely swing.
I'm not so sure that he actually did get a piece of that.
No, I don't think so. But they called him out anyways. They said he caught it.
So it is a strikeout. Initially, it looked like they were going to
He was saying foul, but he caught it.
Yeah.
And so it turned into the third strike.
So out number 1, and the 5th strikeout by Anglin since he came on in the 6th inning. He retired all 3 outs on strikeouts in the 6th. 1 away, man on first. Mercer. Here's Stapp, his second plate appearance, and how do you like that? Mercer was on the move. Parker went over to cover, and ball goes right by him. And opportune moment right there for the Bearcats. Their 9th hit of the game. They lead in that category, and now they've got the would-be tying run at second and the potential go-ahead run coming up.
Just perfectly performed right there. The hit and run opened up the slot. Ground ball slides through, and you got a first and third situation now, and a chance to close the gap here.
Andrew C. visiting with Anglin. Monty Lee saying that Jeffrey Gilbert, who's probably going to be the closer, not available today after he worked a couple of innings yesterday. There is some activity in the Clemson bullpen as Nick Hoffman, a righty, is getting loose and maybe momentarily joined out there. And that is one Gilbert, the lefty, who looks like he's starting to get loose. So it was a hope that he wouldn't have to be used today, but
yeah,
tight game. They have to change on that thought. Strike delivered.
Well, this is the strength for Anglin. He's got right-handed hitters. His strength is his slider today. So he's got the advantage facing them at this point.
Joe Powell, the catcher, caught looking his last time up, and that was the first strikeout recorded by Anglin. 8 strikeouts for Clemson pitching today to add to the weekend total. 34 Bearcats have gone down on strikes in the series. 2-1 now the count on Powell, who twice has struck out, once looking, once swinging, and he's also walked and scored in the game.
Good block by French, keeping the run from scoring and from advancing.
French needing to pretty much be the everyday catcher with Adam Hackenberg currently nursing an injury. Top of the zone, count evens at 2-2.
Low 90s fastball up in the zone, but catching the corner.
Runners on the corners. And runner will advance from first as French couldn't see the ball. There was no way Mercer was going to come down the line. So now the count goes full, still just 1 out. And that potential tying run moves up by 90 feet. Real
good block on a ball that's a good 1.5 to 2 feet outside. but did not know where it was after he blocked it.
And you didn't see Anglin really motion. I think Anglin just assumed French knew that he had stopped it dead in its tracks.
Yeah.
Big payoff pitch right here. And the bases are loaded. Things have gotten mighty interesting for Mac Anglin and the Clemson Tigers here in the top half of the 8th inning. For that matter, the Bearcats, who are trying to come back from that early 4-0 deficit after one. The guy they'd like to have at the plate right now, one of their better power bats, Paul Comastek, 0 for 2 today, but he did homer as their only long ball in the game on Saturday. Still just one away. Shortstop Parker to second, one over to first, safe. Comastek hustling down the line, gets a run home. It's a 1-run game. Boy, I thought that had a chance, although if you notice, it was a little bit slow on the flip from Parker to the bag at second.
Yeah, and it had him off balance, so he had to do a flip leaning rather than really planting and going, but he beat it.
Umpires have gotten together in the middle of the diamond as Mercer came across with the 6th run. Boy, and Comastek, he's an outfielder, but it wasn't look like he was blazing down the line. I think the replay will show that he did beat it, but it did not look like that he was going to get there in time. They will go ahead and take a look at the video. For now, it is a fielder's choice RBI for Comastek, and that'll give him another one on the weekend.
Yeah, that little hitch had the second baseman off his stride. Let's see.
And let's go frame by frame, and
yeah,
boy, that's so close. But if it's a tie goes to the runner, you've got to give it to Comastek in that situation.
I don't think they'll overturn that, but
based on the ruling, too close to overturn.
He's touching, and it's still going in for me. Had they called him out, then they probably would have kept the call and out. It's just one of those where I think, based on the call. From that angle, it looks like he clearly had the foot on the bag. I think that's going to be the angle they use to keep the call as is as they continue their review. Now we're in the super duper neon infrared camera, double zoom and slightly out of focus to make it look more important, like the FBI got involved. NASA.
See if we can we see if there are any particles of dust that can be found. Yeah, I think he's clearly on the bag.
Great stretch. Like I said, the hitch from the shortstop had the second baseman off his stride, and he ended up having to kind of flip it rather than really power throw that across, and that's all it takes there to lose a 10th.
So it'll likely be first and third for Cincinnati now with 2 men out, 1-run game, top of the order. And Santiago, the third baseman, will be due. He's 0 for 3, having reached on a walk and also reached on an error and scored. As one more look, as they continue to look at it, I don't know, the longer it goes,
I guess it gets clearer.
or maybe it favors the fact that they think maybe they should overturn the call.
Yeah, to me, he's touching now.
Yeah, you can look right at the bottom on that. If they go the little click one forward, we're one mouse click away from, there we go.
To me,
so
he's touching.
You figure right there that, and the ball was clearly not in Hawkins' glove at that point.
I agree.
But let us get the determination. So looks like the call will be confirmed. And again, just too close to overturn, if nothing else. So Stapp was out at second. And the cheering you hear is from not only the Bearcats dugout, but they do have a good group of folks up in the stands behind their third base dugout. And as we noted, Mercer, coming from the Atlanta area, no doubt has some family here and friends, and see some others there wearing the red and black of UC. So the RBI for Comastek, he stands at first. Top of the order, Santiago. Told you the versatility of this guy earlier. He's played every position in the field during his college career. The only thing he hasn't done is pitch in a game. Senior out of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, right there in the Lehigh Valley. Cole Harding, the pinch runner for Comastak, who showed great speed to beat out a would-be double play, but they've got a faster guy there as he represents the go-ahead run. 1-1 the count. Stepp actually is the one who moved over to third. It was Powell who was thrown out at second. Liner into center field. It'll get down, and we are tied. Eric Santiago coming through with the 2-out RBI single. And Santiago, he knew it from the time it left his bat. It was going to get down, his first RBI of the season. It is a big one. And we're tied up at 7 apiece here in the 8th inning. We're going to get a pitching change. So a senior coming through just as they expect him to. He's actually listed as a graduate student as Santiago, and the Cincinnati Bearcats trying to avoid a sweep. They trailed 4-0 after 1, but we've got a 7-7 game. Pitching change in the 8th. Nick Hoffman on in relief of Mac Anglin. 5th pitcher used by the Tigers today, the 4th out of their bullpen. Redshirt freshman from not too far in Ohio, from the city of Cincinnati, from Centerville, Ohio. So he will face a school he is certainly most familiar with, and perhaps some guys that he would have seen coming up through the high school ranks or in summer ball. And Joe Bellini, the shortstop out of Winter Park, Florida. Big opportunity, 1st and 2nd in a tie game with 2 men out. Bellini, an RBI single, is 5th inning, able to help the Bearcats get back into this game. One of 2 singles he has in the contest on the 2 for 4 days so far. Later came around and scored in the 5th. A 3-run inning for the Bearcats. They've scored 2 here in the 8th. One and 1 the count.
Tigers need Hoffman to put this thing away for them so they can try and turn the offense back.
Catches the inner edge. So Hoffman ahead in the count, 1-2 on Bellini. .429 hitter a year ago. Looper to right. Brewer. And the side is retired. Nice job out of the pen. Hoffman gets the only batter he faces. Tigers leave 2 stranded, but we're tied at 7 as we head to the bottom of the 8th. 7-7 ball game as we head to the bottom of the 8th. Been a good one here this afternoon between the Tigers and Cincinnati Bearcats. 7th all-time meeting for the programs. Clemson going for the season opening sweep. And with Marty Clary, Pete Hannity with you back here at Doug Kingsmore Stadium. Clemson delivered the early punch, but give Cincinnati credit. They have pretty much withstood it and bounced back nicely.
They have clawed back hard. They've done everything they could. They've done some hit and run. They've done some small ball in between doubles, and so they find themselves right back in it. And they've had some good pitching along the way here late in the game. So a lot of nice things that they can take from this so far, but I know they want to finish up, try and put it away. And Clemson wants to show how they can come back.
And the Tigers trying to get a bullpen established this year. Some good work by Anglin, and in that case, Hoffman coming on and facing the one batter and getting the guy he had to get in Bellini. With another pitching change for Cincinnati is Nathan Moore, senior out of Columbus, will try to hold things right here for a Bearcats team that would feel really, really good if they could get out of here and salvage the final game of this weekend series. Moore pitched an inning in Friday's 5-0 loss, gave up a couple of hits and an earned run, struck out a batter. He will see certainly a dangerous bat here in Jonathan French, who has shown his power and also his agility, if you will, at the plate so far in the game. He hit that absolute bomb that he crushed off the front of the roof in left field in the 4th, and then a seeing eye grounder for a single in the 5th. That time, though, fooled by the first offering from Moore. And the righty ahead in the count, 0-2. French second year in the program, but did not see any game action in the 2020 campaign because of an injury. Perhaps had that extended and been a normal season, you'd have seen quite a bit of him. And he is the Tigers catcher for the future, at the very least, the next couple of seasons. Foul tip held on to by Powell. Strikeout to start things out here in the Tigers' 8th.
Moore just attacking him with sliders, 3 in a row.
Davis Sharp trying to continue the good work at the plate in a Sunday game after he was impressive in his first start of the year on the Hill Friday.
Yeah, he did everything you could ask, and then comes right back on the offensive side and helps out the Tigers.
Sharp with the RBI double in the 5th inning to go along with a run scored after he was hit by a pitch in the 4th. The most versatile player I think we can say on this Clemson roster. A year ago he had a .622 slugging percentage. Was off to a nice start on the Hill. And it's interesting, you've got Davis Sharp as part of your pitching staff. Chopped a third Santiago on the hop, and 2 up and 2 down. But Monty Lee said the player who made his debut today on the Hill, Caden Grice, it looks like he's going to be a fabulous player, both with the bat and with the arm like Sharp is. But Grice has had the kind of preseason, has the kind of stuff that could move him into the Friday slot eventually, and that tells you just how deep of a staff they think they could have as a start. Some changes for the Bearcats. Cole Harding, who came on as a pinch runner, is now in the outfield. Elijah Henderson, 0-2, had that sacrifice bunt, though, that was big in the 4th inning. Charging Santiago, the third baseman, quick throw. And he gets a speedy runner. 3 up and 3 down for the Tigers for a second straight inning. End of 8, 7-7 is our score. 9th inning at Doug Kingsmore Stadium. You see the 4 spot by Clemson in the 1st inning, but Cincinnati trailing by 4-run deficits twice in this game has hung tough. They come up to the plate here, having out-hit the Tigers by a couple, and now trying to take their first lead of the weekend. Tigers have actually had 9 straight retired, 3 consecutive innings in which they've gone 3 up and 3 down. And Ryan Nicholson of the Bearcats, their bullpen has come on, giving them some nice work, and they're trying to continue to do their part of the plate with a good output. Mind you, 48 hours ago they were on the bad end of a shutout, so they've picked up the pace at the plate.
They've definitely gotten better each game they've been out here, so that's one of the positives. So either you want to come south and get a few games in and get on the field and out of the snow, I guess.
Nick Hoffman's 2nd inning. Teodosio, long way to go, makes it look easy. Nice job moving into left center field by the Tigers' Bryce Teodosio. Shows you why I think he's probably got the best range of a center fielder of those I've seen in the ACC.
Got a tremendous jump. He's almost never fooled by the ball off the bat, which is unusual. It's a great quality for a center fielder.
Griffin Merritt, he of the bloop 2-run single in the 5th that really changed this game, because with 2 men out, Hawkins is able to make the catch behind first, straddling the line. Tigers might be just a couple of outs away from closing out a 3rd straight victory.
Yeah, and it set up the opportunity to hit and run and do some other things. When you're just 1 run and you want to push 1 over, you might not have been feeling like you could do that if you were down 4 rather than just 2.
Boy, really fooled him on that pitch, did Hoffman. came on with 2 on in the last inning. Got the only batter he faced. Now 1-3 on the putout for a second out here in the top of the 9th.
Good bounce off the mound to get that little basically swing and bunt. Can cause all kinds of problems, and wild throws down to first, and got there good, planted, made a good throw.
Tough guy to get here. A 3-hit day so far for Jace Mercer, graduate out of Johns Creek. Batter with a good eye too. He had 15 walks a year ago and didn't get his first hit of the series until today. He was over his first 7, but he certainly made up for that with his performance this afternoon, hitting in the 5-hole in their order. And he's hit from both sides of the plate today. Left field should be easy for Henderson. And it is. 3 up, 3 down in the Cincinnati half of the 9th. Tigers coming up, trying to walk them off here at Doug Kingsmore Stadium. Bottom of the 9th inning here at Doug Kingsmore Stadium. Tigers will use a pinch hitter. Alex Urban will come up, pinch hitting for Pierce Gallo as Clemson tries to walk off this Cincinnati team. Tigers, in their brief season in 2020, close games were their thing. They were 6-0 in one-run games in a year in which they went 14-3.
Yeah, big. That's a big stat right there, because you're going to face great competition, great pitching. You got to be able to win those close ones and handle the tight pressure. Good challenge for him tonight.
Urban's first plate appearance of the season. Moore on for a second inning of work. 10 straight Tigers retired. Coming into the inning, now 11 straight, going back to that 5th inning when Henderson grounded out to the pitcher. Boy, you like what you see out of Moore so far. Teodosio would like to get something going here for the Tigers. Last time up in the 6th, he went down swinging. A couple of strikeouts today for the center fielder, but also a single. Mile high. Santiago, the third baseman in foul territory, called off by Bellini, who puts it away. 12 in a row. Boy, Bearcats, it was said to me by their head coach and their pitching coach before the game, still figuring out the bullpen. They've got some guys who've come in today and helped them answer some questions.
Bergman did a nice job, and this Moore, man, he's been lights out. He's only got 5 outs and 9 pitches, I think.
Top of the order, Blake Wright, first pitch swinging. Bellini again. Head to extra innings. Tigers were 2-0 in extra frames in the shortened 2020 campaign. They'll play their first here in 2021. 7-7. Here's what got us extra innings. Bearcats were down by a couple of runs in the 8th. 1 man out. The grounder looked like it might be a double play off the bat of Paul Comastak, but he beats it out in a bases loaded situation. Mercer scored to make it a 7-6 game. 2 men out, man in scoring position. Eric Santiago, the graduate third baseman, getting in step with the tying run, and thus a 7-7 game. Nick Hoffman will continue on the hill in relief. Tigers will go to Max Starbuck at second base as They pinch hit for Gallo. So Starbuck, who held the starting job a year ago, hit just 154. And he will see his first action so far this year on the weekend series to open up this 2021 campaign. 89 miles an hour actually sounded more impressive than that. Not that 89 is anything to underplay.
First pitch strike is a good strike.
Chopped on the right side. And out number 1 as Murray is retired. And Starbuck right into the game in early activity. As we continue to update you with any type of technical issues we have, or some of the high-tech technology we show off with, we will note that the bug in the upper corner should have an arrow pointing to the top. We recognize that. However, sometimes in the year 2021, even the highest grade technology and a group of technicians who are second to none do not have an answer for why things do not cooperate with our equipment. Swing and a miss. Stapp in an 0-2 hole. He came on a couple of innings back as a pinch hitter. Actually in the 6th inning. So he's making his 3rd plate appearance of the game. Lays off 1-2. Hoffman has been nothing but around the plate since he came on.
Yep. Using changeup a couple times, slider a couple times. Definitely hitting with his fastball, regular basis.
Kept the Bearcats right where they were after a couple of runs that scored in the 8th. Faced just one batter, then he retired the side in order in the 9th. And here he is trying to get a 6-batter face in a row set down. Wyatt Stapp, 283 hitter a year ago for the Bearcats. His 2nd season in the program this year. Teodosio in center. And that's out number 2. Powell, the catcher, comes up with nobody on and 2 away here in the top half of inning number 10. Opening weekend of the season. Sometimes in a Sunday game, they'll move the start time up to noon. This was a 1 o'clock game today because the other team might have a travel situation, particularly when they fly. In this case, this was a bus trip. Cincinnati was actually originally supposed to open up the season at Texas State down in San Marcos. So it really worked out well that this particular weekend they weren't scheduled to go down to what has become a place under siege by really bad weather conditions. Really difficult situation in the Lone Star State, although this weekend it was supposed to heat up,
right,
maybe thaw things out. But because of the budget situations brought on by the pandemic, they needed to rein in their non-conference travel. And within their conference, they do have some long trips. They fly to most of their road weekends in conference play. So in non-conference, they try to keep things on a bus. When they go down to Wilmington on their next southern trip, they are going to fly there. Count evens at 2-2. And actually, I think the count may now... Yes, 2-2. The umpire behind home plate, Doug Vines, had turned around and signaled up this way, but everything is right on the scoreboard. So 2-2 the count, 2 outs in the top of the 10th. Nick Hoffman in his 3rd inning on in relief. Tigers have gone deep in the bullpen today. And the right-hander out of Centerville, Ohio, trying to remain unscathed against a team not far from where he grew up. popped up on the infield. Wright calls off his catcher and makes it look interesting. Wind still swirling above, but on the scorecard it simply goes as a 5 unassisted. Another clean inning for Hoffman. Tigers will head to the bottom of the 10th. Another chance to get a walk-off win on a Sunday afternoon. Bottom of the 10th, 13 consecutive Tigers have been set down by the Bearcats bullpen. Nathan Moore on for his 3rd inning of relief. He has been really impressive. He's coming on in the 8th. Has a strikeout. Has retired all but one other out by a ground ball. So just the kind of guy you like coming out of your bullpen. Dylan Brewer will try to change the trend and give us an outcome to this game. Got the scoring going back in the 1st inning with a 2-run blast to center field, about a 410-foot shot. Tigers have hit 3 home runs in this game. That's roped into right. And the first base runner for Clemson since all the way back in inning number 6, or number 5 rather.
Clemson needed one of those. Left-handed hitter gets a better look at this little bit of a swinging delivery. Now he's got to just changed it up for him. It's been so consistent for him. 6 up, 6 down, 10 pitches. Now he's got to think a little bit, a little pressure on. Might be able to get something to happen here.
Briar Hawkins reached on a hit by a pitch and scored in the 1st since he's struck out, flied out to center and grounded out to 3rd. Hawkins 1 hit on the weekend. That came Saturday. Give him 2, and the Tigers first 2 batters reaching on singles here in the 10th.
It's funny how baseball is. That little bit of change where a guy got on first. His next pitch was right in the middle of the plate, which allowed for a good swing and a ball driven through the 3rd and short hole.
Hits are now even at 10. Powell, the catcher, out to visit Moore, but it looks like we're also going to get a visit from the head coach, Scott Guggens. Zach Siegel, a right-hander. You see him there. He'd been warming in the bullpen. He is ready to come in with that red glove as well, and we will get a pitching change. So it'll be Siegel, a sophomore, who will try to get the Bearcats out of this jam in the 10th. 2 on, no one out for Clemson. Siegel's 2nd appearance in the series, pitched 2/3 of an inning Saturday, and he allowed a hit.
Got a real kind of wild delivery, a little bit, a little wild thing look. Snaps and twists and arms and legs going.
5 appearances a year ago, all in relief, 8 1/3, 6 strikeouts, ERA of 5.40. So kind of a hit or miss kind of guy, if you will. From the Cincinnati area, Loveland, Ohio, one of the suburbs that's produced some good talent. We alluded to that earlier. James Parker, a chance to be the hero. He is homered in this game, a 2-run blast off the left field foul pole, and twice more has flirted with a long ball, but maybe the wind blowing in from left, as it continues to do, is why he doesn't have a 3-home run game, with a couple of deep flies in both the 5th and 7th innings. So 1 for 4 in the game, with a couple of bad runs batted in so far for Parker out of TL Hanna. Moved 3rd over to shortstop this season.
Little bit of a what do I do type situation. Do I bunt him over and hope French can get a long fly ball? Do I let him hit because he's been so consistently hitting the ball hard? Do I risk the double play? It's a lot of different. What's the plan? They tried to get him to reveal that with the turn and fake to second, but
gets away. Runners will move up, so that answers one of those scenarios.
New point now. He was not bunting.
Tigers scored against a drawn-in infielder earlier in this game on a hard shot up the middle by Pierce Gallo. Let's see if that'll be the case here, as the Bearcats have to bring him in. And Powell never really had a chance on that pitch, so not the first pitch that Siegel wanted to obviously deliver in this situation. You almost wonder if they just put Parker on first and take their chances with French.
Yeah, I would think you would just go ahead and
especially
load him up,
because you've got a catcher coming up, so a chance on a hard hit ball to maybe get a double play and still hold the potential winning run at third.
Put in an extra infielder, took out an outfielder. They're going to split the outfield.
So onto the field comes Jake Hansen, one of their backup infielders. So the old 5 infielder, 2 outfielder look. And really, you naturally think all Parker has to do is bloop it into the outfield with any kind of, if he goes toward one of the fielders, any kind of depth, but obviously a huge hole in center. But if he can just chop it into the dirt, Tigers will probably walk this thing off with a win, since there's no force at the plate. That time, Powell making sure it didn't get away. 2-0 the count.
My guess is they're going to sweep that slider off the plate. If he swings at it, great. Get a ground ball, or let him take first.
Yeah, so you've got an open base to work with.
Let the pressure on the hitter, because they're not going to get him, I wouldn't think, anything over the plate, but
2-1 the count. Got to be excruciating for the Bearcats, who were 2 hit in a 5-0 shutout Friday. Hung tough, and Clemson just kind of outlasted them the game Saturday, and then down by 4 runs early and trailing later by 4, coming back to force extra innings. But here on the verge of being walked off in the 10th. 3-1 the count. Parker will get the job done. And it'll land on the hill. For a second, looked like it might have enough to get out. Trotting home with the winning run is Dylan Brewer, and the Tigers indeed get the sweep by way of a Sunday walk-off.
As he's been all weekend long, he's been hitting the ball solid. That would have been a long fly ball if they'd have been in normal condition, would have scored the run anyways, but just a tremendous job by Parker in that situation.
3 RBI game for James Parker. They ran him down, and he comes away minus his jersey in that celebration. An 8-7 win in 10 innings for the Tigers to sweep Cincinnati, and you see that was plenty deep.
Plenty deep, and he did that 2 or 3 times today. No one bigger fly ball than that one for this weekend anyways.
And in that situation, even if the left fielder is able to run it down, Merritt, his body and momentum would have been taking him away, and you've got a fast guy at third and Brewer who would have easily come home. So Tigers against the Cincinnati Bearcats winning in a variety of ways, by way of a shutout, then a 5-2 win that they had in control, but again, didn't really feel comfortable till you got the final out on Saturday, and then today a ball game that looked like it might be a Clemson rout early, but turns out to be a back and forth affair, and a 3-0 start to this 2021 campaign, and a lot of momentum now ahead of next weekend against the rival South Carolina. Been a lot of fun today, Marty. Heck of a game to watch.
Been great. Seeing the adversity, that's what you want to see early on. How you handle that. Boy, they did it good. They battled, they stayed confident, and they completed their task.
Nick Hoffman will get the win with a nice effort in relief for this Clemson team. Tigers making it the sweep here, and all time now improved to 5-2 in their series against the Bearcats of Cincinnati. 8-7 in 10 innings our final. Clemson victorious. On behalf of Marty Clary, Pete Ganity saying so long. This has been a presentation of ESPN.